And
Good. Live now?
we're live. Times of motion. There's something about this part that reminds me of Randy Savage trying to rap. It's like the worst rap.
I don't know. Randy Savage. Isn't he a wrestler?
Yeah, the Macho Man Randy Savage.
He just passed away?
Slim Jim. A few years ago, but time's on my side. Guys, if you didn't know, we're here with Stig Hansen.
I'm just sharing this.
Dude, so Stig Hansen's an amazing dude. You might
Full
have
name
seen
David Stig Hansen. Full name David Stig Hansen. The reason why is because my channel is youtube.com/David Stig Hansen. Sorry to cut my introduction you were just doing, but I had to.
It's fair. Yo,
yeah.
because your mom would be like, dude, your name is David. But like it's weird to me how many of my friends are named David. I have like, I don't know if it's this Adonis, David.
That's why I go by Stig. You can call me Stig.
No, I mean, I get it. I'm just saying, everyone, this is a David. Just, it makes sense because, we endorse Davids on this show. We have David Ewing Jr., we have David Plate, we have some Davids, right? We have some pretty big Daves on this show.
I have a joke about that. I started a Facebook group called the David Hansens. Now, my full name is David Hansen. The David Hansens of Facebook. And you searching your own name and you see people that have your same name and you click them and it automatically adds them to the group. Well, that was like 10 years ago, but I still have the group.
Crypto Bernie's really depressed that we didn't invite him. I'm gonna throw him a link.
I gave him an interview recently. Yeah, sure.
All right. All right. As long as you're quiet, Bernie, you got to let him talk. But I know you do. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say though, the rest of that story is now that group, the David Stig Hansens of Facebook, only has one David Hansen in it, and then about 20 other people that have all these random names. They're all scammers and spammers and Facebook. Forget that place. I'm done with Reddit. I was gonna share this to Reddit, but I realized I'm done with Reddit. I actually disabled the account. That's a troll fest over there. Speaking of trolls,
Bernie's like, oh wait, now I have to put on clothes. Yeah, this is exactly the problem. If I send you a link, and you're like, there's all these expectations that come with it, David's a great name. Hansen's a great name. I actually have some respect for a number of Hansens. We've had some pretty good Hansen on the show. There's a weird LDS thing with the Hansens. I don't know how many of your people became Mormon, but a lot of them, and that's kind of useful to this
revision. You got your Johnsons here. Anybody with an SON and the SEN. I'm SEN, by the way. But luckily, YouTube changed it. Please subscribe my channel. It's just with the what is that little thing called? It's not an answer. The sign plus Stig. STIG, not Sting, not Stig.
They called it the arroba originally, and
really
the sign was a Spanish metric measurement system to be a certain amount of coffee or gold that was being exchanged at a certain point. The A and the sign, right? That's the alpha omega kind of thing. I think it's kind of it seems like an Arabic thing too, like the alpha omega kind of vibe. Like there's something about that, but I don't know. Could be.
I just took a nap and I made a whiskey drink.
I was trying to pull up the last video so that people can... Hold on a second. Stig. If I type in Stig on my channel, that should make it easiest to find your
I actually have that right here because I downloaded all my live streams, and you are the big one. You're the one of the biggest. Yeah? Well, actually, maybe the second biggest. Maybe the other one was actually...
Yeah. Don't give me too much credit. Yeah.
Sorry.
Jimmy, I think your video with Jimmy, didn't you do a video with Jimmy or something? Corsetti?
Well, no, but the live streams, that went on his channel, and it was not good. There it is. Oh. It was not good because...
Bernie's going to be back. He's like, no wonder. Like, you can't have the debate without me. I get it, Bernie. I get it.
There's no debate. What is the theme? The theme is I went to the Rashad structure 3 times now. I think the last time we talked, I had been twice, but things have happened. That second trip wasn't as productive, so...
I want to make sure everyone sees this video because it really was enlightening to see what you found when you went to the Tamanrasset.
That's North America. That's North America, yeah. Pie Town right there, Pie Town.
And you can see literally in Western America, in the United States, how they build roads through mountains, destroy anything they can, really, and build, basically just if there's a straight flat plain, they don't build a road there. If there's a mountain that they can quarry out and look for minerals in, then they're going to build a road right through that. And it makes you kind of wonder about other feedback loops that have happened in history prior, and how we think Egypt today, Africa today, is just a way. It's always been a way, but it's not always been a way. There's been a lot of changes in Africa. And your work is also focused on the idea of what did people believe those changes were? What did they believe things were like in Africa before this point? Well, Herodotus and all of these stories talk about Atlantis, so it seems like a reasonable place to jump off from Atlantis to Africa. So I think I just want to say that before we start this video, that one of my favorite videos I've ever done, and I think it's something that we really should harp on more, is
this one here that's called, that's the old name, Tamanrasset Feedback Loop, Mississippi of Africa.
Right.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
That was our first video. I think
we've only done one together, you and I. We've only done one.
Well, this is the second one.
So yeah, I'm trying to find lighting. I did this painting behind me. I did it in Taiwan. It's actually 5 foot by 10 foot. Wow. And I went back to Taiwan for 2 weeks in August, and it was I was able to pick up this painting, but other stuff happened as well. And I got to start painting again. I did a couple of paintings. Maybe if I share desktop, I'll share my last two with you. But yeah, now it's a backdrop. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off that light's all right. We'll see how that does. But it's a lot darker in here than I was expecting. And so I didn't want to... Go on.
Well, I didn't want to force you to do a presentation again unless you've got things you want to share, but I do love it when you have stuff to share. I also want to ask you more about, because you went on a third trip, so I figure it'd be good to open up talking a bit about your third trip, and also what it is that you do. Like, why, maybe like a new introduction again, like a little bit about who you are and why you're so interested in traveling.
I'm not ready to give you this. Things. That's why I wear the glasses, so you don't see my true emotions. But I'm probably going to be taking these off soon. I'll probably be taking these off soon. The story is, here, look, I lived. Yeah, let's do solidarity. Hide our eyes. Yeah. I will be not hiding my eyes in the interviews I do on the 20th of November, but hopefully I won't have the bags and better lighting, better shave. I don't know. I'm not really worried about all that stuff. Except if you look at that clip you just showed of my bald head, that's why I decided to put a little bit of ornamentation.
Oh, whatever. Honestly, don't be Tim Pool about it. Like, your bald head is cooler than. You're like who's from Genesis? Who's the guy from Genesis?
That guy, is he? Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. He's so close.
Oh, come on, Phil Collins.
There you go.
You're like a pretty Phil Collins, okay, Stig? Pretty. Don't you worry. Yeah.
Well, the problem is that it got dark all of a sudden, so I guess I'll be pulling all this stuff out. How about the bald head? I actually do. It
is what it is. Do what you like. You know what I mean?
I think I'm going to be comfortable. Let's be comfortable.
Yeah, let's be comfortable. Exactly.
But if my head starts to look too fat, I'm putting the hat back on.
So I noticed this other thing I wanted to interject is that I'll talk to people all the time, and there's two kinds of people. There are people that think I'm completely insane and think that I'm like unable to exist in the normal world, and then there are people who just to you, or they get scared. And then there's the other kind of person who seems just as crazy because they've seen just as much, right? I feel like that's the thing. You and me might, to some people, come off as eccentric because they've never seen the world for what it is. And I think
I've had people walk away from me. Literally, I was at a CPAC conference, and I told this guy, and he was excited to give me a little interview. He was doing some type of journalism, and I pointed at a map of Sahara Desert. I said, "Those mountains are fake." And he said, "Excuse me for a second." And then we never talked again. He walked away. And I'm sorry, I can't unsee it. I don't put that information out first anymore. Lesson learned. But I'm right now focused on the Rashad structure. You were showing a lot of pictures of it, North America, ridges that are going all over the place. I think there's still more examples in the Sahara Desert. Sub to my youtube.com/@Stig, and do it now before you forget. I need more subscribers. I'm at 12,000 almost, and I'd love to surpass 12,000 tonight. That'd be great. I'm just about 120 away, I think. So
I'm desperately trying to open the page here. So youtube.com Aroba symbol. Aroba symbol. Dave Stig Hansen. The at Stig. It's at Stig.
I don't think I can work aroba into my speeches. I wanted, like, when we say answerat, you know what I'm talking about, right? But unfortunately, aroba just doesn't. Like when I was growing up,
you'd have to do aerobics. It'd have to be like an aeroba at aerobics, you know. When you were growing up, sorry.
There you go. That because you can't say at. People will say, "Oh, at." And I saw a great stand-up comedy on that. But back to the thing. I've been to the Rashad 3 times, but I'm a Google Earther, and I've been, the first thing. And there you go. This is my new intro. That's all AI, and AI is helping a lot. That's not real, of course. It's only kind of to get people's attention. And if you have listening, I have my AI voice telling people to subscribe.
The irony being that, like, for the last 30, 40 years at least, everything we've been seeing has been fake. So, it's nice to at least show people how fake reality is and what is real.
AI is going to take us down. I'm moving.
Where's this picture of you? Is this you in?
That's in Nouakchott. That's That's in the capital, Nouakchott. That's my first trip, and a cheap hat. I don't even know why I had that cheap hat on. I usually like to wear my little Indiana Jones hat, whatever, cowboy hat. But I
like it because it looks a bit BlackRock, no?
Well, that's does that mean government spook?
Para.
Yeah, well, that silk shirt that I'm wearing, I hate the way it accentuates the nipples, and I don't wear that shirt anymore because of that photo. But
don't be so self-conscious. You're doing great.
I can't control it.
I feel like you look though like you run the show, and I think that probably is one of the things that helps you if you get to a place like Mauritania and they're like, well, this guy, it might be more trouble than it's worth to get rid of him. Let's let him go look at the structure. And I think also the kind of people you run into are nice enough to be honored that you care about their home and what's going on. It's unusual these days. Because you're not just saying, hey, I want to fit this to my narrative. I want to know what your narrative is. I want to understand the context of this place. That's not what most people are doing when they go look at something like this, right?
Yes and no. I think you get a mix. And I think that people who are impolite to cultures when they go visit them ought to have to stay home by law. But the thing is that, I was going to a place I'd never been. I grew that big, long beard because I said, I'm going to be in a Muslim country. It's better to have a beard than none. That's not so important if you want to go to Mauritania. But
when in Rome, you try to be respectful. That's a good start.
Yeah, something like that. And I hated that beard at the end. I shaved it off right after I got back the first trip. But then I went back to Attar and I went back. Memory doesn't stick with you. Now look at those 2 rocks right there. Look at that. That's on the Adrar Plateau in Wadan. Wadan is the little city right next to the Rashad structure. And those 2 stone, what do you call those? Megalithic blocks? They're covered. That's in a little piece of private property. I just re-uploaded that video with my AI stuff to push people to subscribe. And if you watch it, you see me discover it at the end of the video, but I put the main part at the front of the video and some other stuff. And all I can say is those go to the very end of the video and see me walking into this private property. It's got these blocks. Go to right about there, maybe a little bit before that. And I walk in there and I see that thing in there. And the thing about that, no, I think you went too far back. It doesn't matter. Just let it ride. It's only let it play, but no volume. And unfortunately, I didn't really. That's a GoPro, and I really should have gone a little slower. But it's 4K, so pause the button if you want to see something. Wait a minute, where is that? I think I'm a little lost. I think it's a little bit up ahead. Go farther. It's the last. Yeah, that structure. Go in there.
Okay.
And when I walk in there, I see those 2 stones from across the way. So that's on private property I'm walking into.
Wow.
And who knows what they're doing? And they were digging up for some reason, probably trying to put in a septic tank. There they are, right there. Yeah, and there they are. And it's like, what the heck are those 2? Those big stones, the way they're set together like that.
Wow. Look at that. Like
underneath there. There's more around there, but I'm not going to start moving rocks and start digging, especially I hadn't even been to the Rashad structure for my first time when I was standing there. I was like just kind of walking around Wadan because I spent the night in the hotel, and I walked out of the hotel. This one I called part 2 because part 1, which is right before it in my uploads, I walked from the hotel into Old Wadan or Wadane, or there they are right there. And I thought right there they're probably trying to dig a septic tank, and they probably saw those 2 stones and gave up and said we can't move that because all those smaller pieces are on top of it. And it's like, and it's over. So all those small little pieces are on top of it. How did they get on top of it? I mean, rocks, even small ones, don't move by themselves. And we can talk all night long about.
Oh, it's crazy when you look at the Wadin. Like, I mean, there's paintings of it from the 17th century, right? I mean, so it was this fancy smancy city, is the best way to put it.
But that's not Wadan right there. What is that you got? That is not Chinguetti or Wadan. Maybe that's Chinguetti. I went to Chinguetti.
This is Chinguetti. Yeah, this is Chinguetti. But it's like, that was part of Wadan. Chinguetti was at some point.
It was, it's about 100 miles away practically. But there's actually one city in between in the desert that there's a ghost town. The Chinguetti one, I walked right by there and I got the hell out of there. First of all, that doesn't look like Chinguetti or Wadan. What is that? That's different. That's a beautiful place.
This is Kasaur of South Wadan. Kasaur.
Huh.
Yeah. There are some little there's some little tiny
Let me max this up so I can see it.
Yeah,
what does that say? What did it say a minute ago? Down below it said Heroes of Adventure. Oh, okay. I don't know that big mountain. That's actually, I think that might be. That's interesting.
Founded in the 11th and 12th century. So yeah, there are these little kind of Berber enclaves.
Yeah, but that picture, I question that. Can you go to the next picture? Check out the next one, because I don't know that big mountain behind it. If that's, I'm kind of curious. Did I miss something? I mean, that's okay. That right there. I know that place. I've been there. That's Old Wadan right there.
Look at this now. It's all flood melt.
And by the way, look at the inferior collapsed buildings everywhere. They stacked up all those stones. It doesn't look like they used mortar. Now that place, I have to be honest, that first picture, I think it might be in the wrong place. That's not. See, again, that picture didn't match up. What's going on here?
I thought, I mean, granted, you have to understand that there are
that might be hidden right there.
Yeah, there's about 200, 300 miles of Berber nomadic trading that happens around the Wadian. So the idea of there being far flung, like you said, 100 or 200 miles away, enclaves that they're traveling in between in order to do these trading or community meetings, I think that makes a lot of sense that these things are so spread apart.
I've got some maps of that too, by the way, the old trading routes. And
people don't understand how nomadic humans were. That humans walked for just, I mean, like a deer might leave a herd for 100 feet in a sprint, but a human will walk for 10 days, right? We're just crazy.
Well, I should walk more. Yeah, no, that picture right there. That picture, unless it's like right below, like the hill where. So Wadan is on the Adrar Plateau, and the Adrar Plateau is that me doing that?
No,
is that you? That's you. Is that your effect?
Pictures.
It's dark in here. It's just dark in here.
Oh no, like that's because falling down. That is my fault. Because look, if I put light on your face, then all of a sudden, like here, I can make it even more obvious. Let me I'll just switch this here, go right there, and then boom, look at that. I can put light right on your face.
Very nice. But it's still, it's got this grainy thing going on. I don't mind though. But if I share my I
can make your face red now. This is great. I'm like doing lighting effects right now. This is hilarious.
Good luck with that, because the monitor, I've got the camera over to the right of that monitor, and if you want, you don't have control over my right monitor. This monitor right here. Wait. This side you don't have control over. That's a different monitor. What are those things? Is those lights?
The infrared lights.
I think I need to get a light.
What a random advertisement. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, so this is also an interesting thing to me, that the cultural art that you see here, it reminds me of like traditional peoples in Western Europe, Visigoths, Gaelic people, a lot of Slavic people, the Berbers, they all seem to have really similar art style, right? This sort of geometric curves and squares and everything.
Well, that to me also kind of looks like Morocco too.
Right, exactly.
Morocco. So maybe one thing that I haven't told you, and you probably knew, but we haven't talked about it, is I did go to 4 countries at the beginning of this year. I had a piece of property I sold, and I took the money and I went to Spain. You can get to Spain from California, round trip from Palm Springs near me, $600. That was what it cost last year, round trip, $600. I didn't do that. I was stupid. I don't want to talk about that part, but I also decided I got to get back to the Rashad structure. And you know why, right?
Austria for $375 recently. It's crazy. What you can
one way or round trip?
One way.
Well, still though, and that's the other thing. People got to get used to one way. And then if I had done it the right way, going to Mauritania with a one-way itinerary doesn't really work out. You got to make it a leg. Go in, come back. I went from where did I go from? Madrid? I went from Madrid. No. Yeah, I can't remember. Where did I get on the last time? I think it was Madrid. And then I ended up going home. I had spent $1,000 to get home. And it's like, that's where I feel stupid because I was just like, so it's ready to go home. I got a little sick.
Yeah, that's how
you're making me want to share some images with you. But
please do. If you have images, I just don't want to force you. Oh, look, Bernie made it too. We can share Bernie's.
Hey, Bernie, how you doing?
My computer's still restarting, so you get to look at my computer restarting until I actually log in.
I'm going to have to turn him down. Hold on. Let me turn you down just a little bit.
Am I too loud? Sorry.
I'll bring
because everything else.
His mic down.
Okay, there you go. Entire screen.
Am I better now?
Okay, this one, I don't want to use that. Why is it showing? Let's go over here. Screen 2, screen 3. Let's do screen. I have a hidden screen. I have a big TV that I don't turn on, so this might not work out. Hold on, let me try to share it. Nice doggy.
I know, right?
Okay.
Nice doggy.
You can tell it's a Canadian dog because he's so polite.
Okay. Oops. I'm going to share Google Earth with you. Can you see Google Earth?
I only see an orange
That's weird.
Right now.
Okay, hold on. Let me try this again. I'm going to stop sharing and try again. Present.
I'll put the music in the background.
Share screen. Entire. There it is, right there. Okay, yeah, because I got a big TV that I leave turned off, and I might turn it on.
Yeah, all right.
In fact, let's see here.
I sometimes use my TV as a light source.
I'm talking BS. So now you can see. There you go.
Is it coming? There it is. Now okay, it did work.
I added some stuff, but for all of you guys who have never seen it, we have to go to South Africa one more time. And that's actually that's the edge of Lesotho. All right. So where are we? Wait a minute. Ancient intersections. I call this the Star of Adam. I wish I could get rid of that thing on the side. I can slim it down a little more. If you notice the little tiny peaks, yeah, there you go. That's the way to do it. If you notice all the different intersections there.
Oh, I have an idea. If you click, do you see top there where it says the word search? Just click on the blue square to the right of the word search.
Oh, okay. There you go. But I'm going to need this. There you go. Good idea. Thank you. I'm going to need this, though. I'm going to need it. But yeah, these things here, you might call them cart ruts, but they're 40 feet wide. I'll show you more. But I call this the Star of Adam because Adam's calendar is right over here. Let me take you over to Adam's calendar. A lot of people don't know where Adam's calendar is. So here we are in South Africa. And unfortunately, you know what? I'm not going to do very well because I'll show you in Google. I'll get another Earth.Google. Can you see the new browser show up?
I do see it.
Yeah, I just wanted to take you to Adam's calendar. You know what that is, right? Everybody's heard of Adam's calendar before.
Michael Tellinger found it.
Everybody.
Yeah, but nobody knows where it is.
Bernie, actually, wait. Bernie, say that again, though, because I think some people don't know. So just
Michael Tellinger found it. It was Mutwa Fato or something that the original African knowledge wisdom keeper that let him know about it. There's 3 giant black pyramids below it, and it's like the oldest stone calendar or astral calendar in Africa, I believe.
And it's based. All right, cool.
I don't know about those 3 pyramids. I haven't seen that. I trust me, I looked. But look at this. It's actually on the same longitude. Well, that's not really true here as Egypt. It's a few degrees off. But they were trying to say, Michael Tellinger You were a little muffled just now, Bernie, when you said Michael Tellinger. Michael Tellinger definitely is responsible for my knowledge of this place. And
Nice.
I'm going to show you stuff down here near Lesotho. But Adam's calendar, here's how you find it. You go to the top of Eswatini. You go to the side of Eswatini. That puts you about right there. Can you see my mouse?
Yes. Yes.
And then when you get, so you go to the top of Eswatini and you go to the side of Eswatini, and there's this little chunk of land that looks like New Jersey. Now I'm lost. Where is it? Where is it? I think that's, oh, there it is right there. It doesn't look like New Jersey anymore. There's some changes. A new scan has happened here. But Adam's calendar is right here. And you've got, if you go down to the layers, you can choose photos. I'm going to turn off 3D buildings. I don't know why that was on. And then that's why it probably didn't look like New Jersey. I used to think that looked like New Jersey. But anyways, when you zoom in here, it's literally, they put a photo, but that photo was taken from over here. That's Adam's calendar right there.
Wow. That's crazy.
Let's look at the photos real quick. So you click on this photo, and you can see Adam's calendar in the distance over there.
That is nuts.
Yeah, that's the other part.
So, like, but even just consider how weird of that location is compared to the rest of the area. You got all these flat plains and everything, and all of a sudden you've got this crazy. Look at it; it's like excavated. This is a different looking spot.
Yeah, that's Adam's calendar right there.
So
you ever look at it?
You can see the pyramid or whatever.
You ever look at a thing though? You ever been to like Stone? You ever go to Stonehenge or some weird Gaelic fertility spot, and you just stare at the rocks and you think to yourself, yeah. There's some kind of energy here. Like there's no way you look at this. And
I have to brag. I have to brag. I've been to Stonehenge before you were born, 1977. And
which was a better year than any year I've lived through. So good job.
Well, no one was spray painting it or anything like that. Okay, so that's Adam's calendar, and turning off the photographs and the layers and all that. I kind of wanted to take one more look, and now I'm lost. Okay, right here. Okay, so right here, you said there were some pyramids down here, and I saw two mountains down there, but I don't see them now. But I saw a couple of mountains. Now, by the way, I do see ridges. Well, you said pyramids, and I'm saying I saw it.
There's a couple. I remember. I haven't seen it in a long time, but there are Hopewell style mounds. They're around Adam's calendar. There's these circular mound structures, and there was some sort of step, like high incline pyramid, like shorter, smaller ones than Giza, but they did have some black, tall pyramids. I'm looking for pictures of them right now.
Here's what I see right now. I see ridges. I don't believe those ridges are natural. A lot of people think I'm crazy. Wow. These ridges here, and then over here,
that's unrelated.
this texture here, this texture here looks like the top of all these circular dikes I'm seeing up in Sahara Desert. Let me get back to that other thing though, because this will help me.
I didn't really give enough credit to Bernie's outfit. I just wanted to say.
Okay, wait a minute. Now I lost you guys. Where's Bernie's outfit?
Have you seen this guy? It's something about the banana.
There you are. You look good. You look good.
Russell Brand, because
really,
there's happening.
Am I wrong? Like Bernie looks pretty right now. Like I would take him to like an award show, like in this outfit.
I am too intimidated. That's a very intimidating hat.
An award show any day, Andreas.
Oh, let's go. I'll wear a Mexican mariachi outfit. It'll be cool.
All right, let me zoom this in. Wait, I got to get back to the little side thing. I'm just going to leave it open, although it's a little irritating. And go to Star of Adam again. So, okay, what you can't see is you can't see Lesotho. The edge of Lesotho is pretty clear here. It's not perfect compared with the actual border, but Lesotho, they say Lesotho. It's pronounced. Why do I do that? Anyways, the actual.
It helps to remember.
The coloration. No, I'm being autistic. The coloration here is a different color. Actually, it's actually catching up over here in South Africa. There's a couple of things I'll show you. I showed this recently, so there's nothing. This is the siren.
The audience, just so you know, audience, how many times have you noticed it that somebody who has, like, as you called it, autistic coincidence, like the way they remember things, How many times have you noticed that those are the people that remember things the most?
Well, that's my thing. I'm trying to remember names.
Memory comes with
Bernie and Andreas, thank you again for inviting me here today.
I always analyzing.
Andreas
I hear what name.
So don't thank me, Stig, but thank you for all your work you do, David.
You know, I've been called a grifter, and I'm like, what the heck? How can I be a grifter when I don't even have
David, you're such a grifter for spending your own tens of thousands of dollars to travel to Africa to risk your life.
And when you're done, use the promo code Xirtus for new garlic extract and drink mineral water. Sorry, I couldn't help
I'll catch up with that. I'm gonna get a book written. The book will be available. You can order the book now. I'll get a link soon. It's not printed yet, so
I'll pay an extra like $5-10 for the signed version.
No
Make sure there's a button.
There's going to be no e-version. There's going to be no e-version. I want it to be right, and I do publish books. I know how to do it, but I got to write it first. Oh, did I say that? I meant to say it's still being printed.
Someday I'm going to have an e-book, but it's really just going to be about ecstasy.
It's going to be very AI related. Okay, check this out. Now, Star of Adam's down here. Okay, and now Star of Adam has like 6 points to it. It's a pentagon, right? One, it's not a true pentagon. 2,
wow, though, yeah.
3, 4, 5. So you've got 5 sides in there, and then you've got all these different. I call them roads. They're more like a track. And they're wide. They're like 40 feet wide. So
wow.
Let me show you a couple of other.
So like the widest roads in the world, also like Argentina. But what about is there water?
Terraforming.
Is there water in this area? Yeah.
I have never been to South Africa or Lesotho. I'm not gonna lie to you about all this. But
it looks like some of those paths might have been water paths at some point thousands of years ago. Which
triangle ones?
It kind of makes the point that star forts, and these cities are built around these kind of. You find a water path like that. I don't know, but we'll have to look at it more.
But I believe the reason why I'm showing this, I have a couple up in the Rashad structure that look like this. This is what I believe. I believe that is a road that a machine went along and somehow collected all that material. It's ancient mining, ancient quarrying, and you see this lines perfect. I call that it's like the word I used earlier, cart rut, but it's 40 feet wide. It's not a little skinny one. And then
we showed that picture earlier from your work, looking at Mississippi in the United States, where, like we said, they seem to build roads right through mountains.
Okay, now those I call ridges. I think that we've got a difference.
This idea, though, of just when you have a team that's going to build a road and they decide to blow up the mountain so they can bore right through it and they can collect all the resources and minerals. That way we can lose any of the records we have of these places, right? And look at where these roads are built and look at these places. They're right around.
South Africa, they don't know anything.
They had the same tube on in a different hoodie. That was tripping me out. Sorry to...
Right? Yeah, space time. I hear you.
This is some of the most dangerous places in Africa when it comes to getting raped or killed, South Africa is pretty bad. I'm not trying to say... you've got
not to pretend that Los Angeles is any better, but yeah,
you're gonna find a burning body in the streets of LA, no problem, easier than I say Africa. But when it comes to like me, by the way, that's when I was talking about that beard and walking around Mauritania. Mauritania is very safe.
Yeah,
Mauritania is super safe. But
I've never felt safer than when I left Los Angeles. You know what I mean? Just like
Oh well, that's a whole different story.
I could be at a bus stop in the worst part of the world, and I walk outside, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh man, I should be careful." And then everyone around me is like, "That guy's American. He could have a gun."
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's exactly the beard, the hat doesn't matter. They know I'm American in Mauritania, but I still feel safe.
Wildest prejudice.
Flag, you might be safer, but I guess Trudeau is pretty hated these days. So
yeah, Trudeau's not doing any favors.
Yeah. Okay, here we're going. Now, this is inside Lesotho.
Where is Dad's T-shirt instead?
I think I need to redo this so it doesn't zoom in all the way.
That looks like terraces right there. Zoom straight back in. That was
I'll show you. There's over here. By the way,
how many right angles do you find in nature like that? That's like a crazy straight.
So I think this is an ancient shortcut right there. They had their little machines
on that hill or mountain right underneath it. That's wild.
Oh, this one you're talking about here. Yeah, you're talking about right here. I call that a nub. You got 1, 2, 3, and
across there's like 10 more on the a little bit north on the hill.
Up here?
Yeah, right on the triangle. Right below the triangle.
I think this whole thing's I haven't been there. But you do sometimes get lucky with the blue man. I did that. There's one that I showed you last time. Okay, let me just pull it up here so we can zoom in. Let me just show it for the audience. Make sure everybody can see. Yeah, we'll go back there. I promise. I definitely promise. Exploration is good enough. So there you've got Lesotho right there. And when you zoom in, I want to show you something I've shown you guys before. Why is it doing that weird line right there? What's up with that? That's just so weird. That's new.
Wow.
You get in here. Because this isn't in the presentation. You've got like a
straight up corner,
a smoldering pit. Like they were like draining something in here. They've walls on both sides. This is called.
You. Go ahead. Sorry.
This is called Mohel's Hook. A city's here, and you've got it inside both sides of the wall, and it actually. Goes this way, and it's very strange the way it goes. This thing on the north side turned right and went across here and went that direction, if you can follow my mouse. And this one just went straight and went up into the hills. So there's an intersection here. Now, I call this a nub. This was before I knew about Peruvian walls names. I went to
more transgender pop stars. Man, I tried so hard not to say it.
What was the place in Britain that they're actually trying to dig a hole through? So if you go in here and click on that and go down in there, you can see the walls on both sides of the city, and they look big as hell. I mean, look at that.
Oh yeah.
But from the ground, that looks like natural, but you can't say that's natural.
I really want to move there. It looks great, like just right outside of a former quarry where they were melting down mountains and building new volcanoes by putting the leftovers in a pile, right?
Okay, so the reason why I brought you here was, now we're backed out, and it says Maquinas, Mohel's Hook, that's a city, and this must be the hook, right? This big old thing. And over here, you see another line up here, and I've shown this to you, but I'm just bragging because you can kind of see how it used to may have gone in a different direction, and it meets up here, Mohel, there's a church, I guess, but there's another nub along the line, right? There's another nub here along the line. We got to get rid of the man. But here's what I want to show you, and you've seen it before, but come on, boys. That's not freaking natural, boys. I mean, give me a break. What the hell is that?
I want to understand, but like, are you okay? So that like kind of reminds me of that pyramid thing, even though it's a mound. But have you seen?
It is part pyramid, part mound.
Right. Okay. And then also the next question was, because we kind of joked about it, but are there any volcanoes or things like that? Like, because the idea of ancient quarries, if they're doing ancient quarries here, that explains a lot about diversion, right? This could be like the gold rush in California.
We got ancient quarries.
Yeah, and that seems like the thing here. That's what it looks like the most to me.
I mean, this wouldn't be I wouldn't call that an ancient quarry. I would call that a mound for worship. I mean, or maybe they have a king that would go up there, and I mean, I don't know. Look,
God only knows what they're for. I'm just seeing that all around that mound, there's a lot of places where they could be pulling stuff out of the earth,
And look at how much it shifted here. That line shifted, maybe tectonic, maybe not. Maybe it just spilled down the mountain and then went back up over here. Because, but anyways, I wanted to show you that one because it's important to know that. Well, I didn't put it in that other little presentation. I got to put that in there because that's important to me. I think I discovered that. Nobody else talks about this. Nobody else.
It's crazy.
This is Stig's Mound. That's the name.
Stig Mound. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. Stig Mound.
Stig Mound. When you get in there, I mean, come on, look at it. Look at that beautiful shape.
Stig's Mound.
That's way better than Dave's Nub. So yeah, Stig's Mound. I think it does look like.
I'll show you that next. Well, I'll show you that in the OnlyFans page I got.
Don't threaten me with a good time, Dave. All right, but I do think that this does look like squared out
channels. Only get one canceled with pornography, please.
Oh my god.
Only get what?
Do you see the right angles there? Like, it's not just that there's a mound there. It's an erected monument. It's an edifice.
Well,
this is a synthetic structure.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like that would naturally pop up.
It's a step pyramid. I mean, it's not quite, but what do we define as a pyramid, right? And a pyramid is okay.
It goes all the way here, and then you can see the line down there. It lines up with this line. It's something made that. It's all not right. A
natural... Everybody point at Phil. Phil, you're right. Everybody point at Phil and say you're right, Phil. You're right.
Phil Henry, you are correct.
You were
correct.
Pyramid.
You're correct. Phil Hendry? Who are we talking about?
Oh, it's one of our chatters here. He just said he thought it looked like a pyramid. And a pyramid doesn't mean a bunch of rocks or bricks. It means fire inside. Fire inside. So, I mean, volcanoes are pyramids, and this mound, it's sticking out. It's sticking out to me like a pyramid. At least esoterically, like you just said. But I think probably more to the point of quarries. Like, this is probably surrounding and watching over everything.
Well, okay, so this Machinus or Mohel's hook, it has a channel. It goes up into the mountains. There's about 4 of these I can show you in South Africa.
I was just personally attacked.
This thing right here, is that some type of a smoldering pit for gold? It's breached. Like, okay, it must have filled up with water and breached right there. But what was that built for?
Oh, man, right? It's a channel. It's like so they could put water here so they could flow it and they could use it to wash away mountains. What do you use to wash away? If you want to destroy diamonds, right, you got to use a water system. So this is how they wash away rocks.
Here, let's look at a modern day, because I know how to get there real fast. Modern day diamond mine right up here. Right up here. This is a modern day diamond mine.
How do they do it now? Oh, wait, look, water.
They use the settling pond, or whatever you call it, a leaching pond or leaching. Depends on
how many chemicals, yeah.
They've got the pits. They've got 2 strip mines. And the most important part of it, for me, is when they literally build mountains out of the dumps. And you can see each little bump, each little pimple, that's a dump from one dump truck. It's about 20 feet wide. I mean, the dump truck's not 20 feet wide, but when it pours onto the ground, the material widens out a little bit.
Right.
And they create these mountains. And these mountains this is a bad shot. I would turn it around.
But I mean, imagine also that you eventually. Right? Now, if you keep taking all these mounds and washing them away, and you have all the chemicals from the settling pond, and eventually they stack together, and you get chemical reactions between the settling ponds, and you create essentially
a volcano.
Well, something like one, right?
Well, that's the modern day, and whatever was doing this other stuff is a lot bigger. And by the way, there's another little side mine here, and there's ridges up here too. The ridges, I don't know how they were. I think that the ridges are a sign of ancient mining getting rid of content. All right, let me get out of this. Let me get out of this and go back to Google Earth, because I was here and that's what brought this up. This one has also got some type of smoldering pit or leaching pond, but it's breached over here on the north. But it's got a freaking isosceles triangle right there going into it. What's going on with that triangle? And these that's 40 feet wide, that road right there. So what was that all about? And maybe it was just
right through a rock, just like today.
Now then it goes down into the middle of this little pool. I think they were leading stuff in there. They were settling ponding it or leaching it or whatever they do. Gold. I don't think they were interested in diamonds. I know it has some correlation with the Anunnaki theory. And then, of course, this line goes to here, where we have another little intersection, 90-degree, and this little shortcut. I'm going to show you another shortcut in a moment that's just like that. And then, if you back out, there's another little structure over here that's kind of looks like it was worked. Like, I don't know. I honestly can't. There is this ridge here. That ridge, to me, doesn't look modern day.
Not Joe King to me asked what's underneath it all. Obviously, ant people.
Well, yeah, those little white rectangles are houses. And then you've got this big, huge angle going through town with the cart rut at the top going along the side. I think they were mining stuff out of here. And I'll show you in the Rashad structure in a moment where they were mining stuff out up there. And I don't think I really emphasized that before, because even though I did get haunted by Randall Carlson, there were chert outcrops in this structure being quarried by somebody. Who?
That's a great impression.
Who, Randall? Who? Oh, I'm not going to say, but it was 1.2 million years ago. Okay, so that's a little bit before Atlantis. Okay, so let me go to the next place.
That's some box. This baby got box saga right there. That's a long time ago.
So here's a shortcut X. Okay, there's the other shortcut. So yeah, another. Make sure we're 2D. If you just point it in one direction, you've got 90-degree angles, an intersection of some sort, and then of course you've got the shortcut. It was really wide, same like that other one, really wide right here. But then when the shortcuts developed, they're like about half as wide. So I think there was two-way traffic down here, but up here, well, okay, up here two-way traffic, down here one-way traffic. And these were plateaus that suddenly got disappeared. What's going on here? Like, what happened to all that content that was down there? I believe they mined this out. I believe all these corners were mined out. It's just a little too weird, right? Like, why would all that content be gone? There's all these. I'm going to go through a bunch of intersections really fast. So stop me if you want to talk about something specific. Another one here.
Yeah, Bernie, if you see something also that sticks out, feel free.
Another one over here.
And you too, Travis. You too, Box Saga.
Anybody.
Don't you make me.
By the way, I can't see the chat. Where's the chat? Let me see if I can
still
find
have
it.
Box Saga on here?
So you have to click on comments. It's right of private.
Oh, there it is.
Chat.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, I found him now. $5.
All I can find is the Pop Saga.
I don't think that they're mining the nubs. I don't think they're mining the nubs.
We're going to have to do some Pop Saga for a second.
Hey, am I going to get copyright?
Oh, no.
No.
Everything is... I own the world. You know that, right? It's all mine.
Well, send me something then, Xirtus. Jeez.
All right. That's why we're here.
I've got a list of some music, too.
Send me a streamlight.
All right. That one is a little bit weird, but it
right? It's like if Miley Cyrus Pop Saga. I don't know what to do. Hold on. Oh, wait. Really quickly. Just because I didn't grift hard enough earlier, if you go to Andreas.me and you move your mouse around, it looks really cool. You can do this. So I highly recommend going to www.andreas.me. I just finished getting this going. Yeah, cool. All right.
Psychedelic, man.
Yeah, Andreas.me. It's fun. If you enjoy that.
It reminds me of Flash. Remember Flash? Was it called?
Yeah.
Flash?
I was really, this is what happened. I was super into ActionScript and Flash. And so now all of a sudden I was like, can you do most of the ActionScript stuff in JavaScript? And you can. And that made me really happy. So I started doing that a lot, basically. So now I'm obsessed with ActionScript.
It kind of looks like an amoeba and spilt Kool-Aid.
Right? We're talking about, that. I don't know what happened to Flash, man. I was trying to learn Flash, and then suddenly it just disappeared.
You got to blame Steve Jobs, and it's probably worth it. And screw Adobe. Anyway, we're moving on. Yeah.
This one, by the way, you can go to these places and follow the lines for miles and miles. Some of these lines, you can see it right there. Go through the mountains, disappear, then reappear. So these roads would go for like 40 kilometers. I've got some of them that are literally that long. This one is called No Name Road. It's got a bunch of ridges, and I've got a couple here. I'll zoom into all of them and then I'll zoom out. I mean, these ridges, just to me, and the way this one's like a little triangle, and the ridges. Okay, so why am I showing you South Africa? And the reason why is because of everything else I've discovered. This stuff in South Africa convinces me that I'm not crazy. This stuff in South Africa convinces me that somebody really was working and machining the earth. This is called No Name Road. It doesn't even have a freaking name. And I believe that what we're seeing here, there's an escarpment down here. So I don't know what was going on up there. I really can't say for sure. These channels. And I didn't show you a bunch just because it's easier to just click, right? If you know about Graham Hancock's Terra Preta, you can see this brown earth in here. I think this was some kind of ancient property line going on. I don't know why it's in the middle of this channel here, but you can follow these things for miles and miles as well. Now, as you can see, a new scan came, new season, suddenly everything's green. And the Terra Preta disappears. What I call it Terra Preta. Don't get mistaken. It's not the same stuff. But it's this weird line. you can follow everywhere. If you go around South Africa, you can see this even way at the other end. Look at this weird brown line. It's like somebody, and by the way, that goes around their property. So maybe it's modern day. I don't know. Maybe it's modern day and this property owner went and did it. What is it? I have no idea. I have no idea. Kind of like a moat, but I don't see any water. Oh, here's a mound. That doesn't really. Oh, that's one of those nipple. The other, I have like 5 of those mounds that I showed you.
Nubs and nipples are just such. I want my map to have these words on my index. It's just like
so. Yeah, well, the problem is, and then you've got volcanic dikes. That's a tough one. Scissoring dikes. One. It pops up into your Google feed.
Don't I know it?
Show you scissoring dikes. Natural? I don't think so. Okay, so what is this white stuff? It is
natural for dikes to scissor. Come on.
And to get volcanic. Let's be real.
It's natural for anybody who loves another person to do a little scissoring,
Exactly.
So I've got white stuff in here. I think it was some kind of a slurry, some kind of a mining slurry. Why is it in there? And why is
it with white slurry? All right.
Yeah, this white slizzer. Wait, never mind. I won't even try. There's white slurry all over your scissoring dike. What's this one? I don't even know what we're looking at here. Well, that one got added later. I guess that we're looking at this. Oh, we're looking at this long ridge here.
What about like official legacy narratives? Are there excuses? Are they saying these are like fissures or fault lines sometimes? I mean, so when you have a straight line for 100 miles.
In Colorado, it's volcanic dikes. In Utah, they blame it on the salt.
Right.
In all these places in Africa, they're not talking about it because nobody's made it official yet.
And even Michael's lines don't seem like they're not on actual, because the thing is you can't use the fault line argument. In California we have some straight lines too, and they'll say, okay, well, this couldn't have been done but because the gold rush erased it. It must have been because of fault lines. But you do the same test in other places, it doesn't work, right? So that's the question. What are these roads supposed to be if they're not? I mean, you have these giant,
just doesn't add up.
You have these long straight lines that are 60 feet wide, going for hundreds of miles long.
Yeah,
it's just called Devil's Wall. Don't investigate. It's the devil.
It's the devil. Yeah. No, I went to Devil's Slide, Montana. I went to Devil's Slide, Utah. You know that, Bernie.
Sure. That's why
I have a gap. I was getting an implant in Mexico, and the thing fell out in Montana. So I kind of cut my trip short because I wanted to deal with it. But you want to get a close up of that? Luckily you're I don't know, man. You guys got like nice clear screens, but I've got like stars and stuff. I
like the film grain. You look like it's an indie Canadian movie that I just watched.
No, he looks like Indiana Stig.
This is called The Path. Well, it's I'm old, so I don't mind either. By the way, did either of you see the Milo and Milo debunking of Rashad structure archaeology? Oh wait, sorry, architecture. Okay, so there's Stefan Milo.
We're gonna debunk the debunking. We're gonna debunk the debunking.
No, it's not them. I like that guy. He does that guy. Yeah, Yeah. How did you do that so fast? There they are.
Because Minuteman. Because every once in a while I get in a little hizzy with
that
Minuteman.
Guy is. He is.
You ever just like? You ever scream at somebody?
Sorry,
you ever scream at somebody? No, I mean I want to give him punch to drink out of dance. That's what he meant by that. With Minuteman, it's like you talk to him and I'll be like, I don't know. I'll say to him like respectfully, I don't know whether or not, like, I cannot tell whether or not
that
you were
video,
a smart person who's just misguided a bit, or if you have a head injury.
He's so smug. He's so condescending. I was like watching that live, and I was typing like a madman. Stop giggling. Stop laughing. Because they were just disrespecting us so much. People like me.
Well, what really scared me is he gave the reason I didn't care at first, because everyone can make any kind of video they want to make. But if this guy goes to a university or a community college, really, where you've got 18-year-old kids still, and their first thing that they're going to hear about this is not the data or your data, but really his presupposition on why it's a bad idea.
His bias.
Yeah.
And this is what's really weird about him, because he kind of starts off by saying, well, the problem with this group of counter history revisionists and pseudo archaeologists is that they have a presupposition. Well, that's your presupposition on that.
And archaeology is
you're not allowed to have a theory
in your theories, right? Like,
and so the idea that he's trying to enforce the narrative, it's like the other reason for it is out of respect and admiration for the elite, which I think is something that should be questioned more, right? It's like, okay, well, these people work so hard, so we should protect their work.
The elite believe in Atlantis.
Yeah, and also the beautiful thing about a PhD student is you got 100 of them competing for whether or not something is true, and 99 of them, probably maybe 100 of them, will be not correct.
Right.
If somebody's correct, that's an anomaly. That doesn't make you.
Is a theory.
Right, and it's also it's the work that you're doing around the theory too. Are you Aristotelian? Are you Socratic? Are you Baconian? How are you going about trying to investigate your theory? And you're just documenting that, right?
Right, and you're saying, hey, look at how about this? Forget all that crap and just say, hey, I'm a guy that looks at Google Earth and look what I found. Oh, what are you implying? What are you implying? You're a grifter. You're a grifter. Yeah, no.
It's all
those guys, they were like, okay, so if you look at the chat of that video, you'll see me going, I have a few. One where I call him Minuteman, but it's called Mini Minuteman.
And by the way, doesn't it kind of infer like I mean, I didn't want to make incel jokes,
Mini
but
Minuteman? So he's mini and he can't last a minute?
It seems like that's his inference.
I don't know. I mean, of course, the term Minuteman now is people along the southern border of the United States stopping people from coming across.
I highly doubt that this guy is on that side.
He's not doing that. He's the one carrying the AR-15 around that crowded. No, wait. Yeah. That was that other guy.
He has that open borders kind of face. Is all.
What was that other guy's name?
I'm done.
Okay,
I don't mean to be like this. I don't mean to be like this.
Let me just see this.
One you just want to smash.
Also, we could go further because Milo's all right, but Milo could go way deeper.
Milo needs Otis and to drop the queer little kid. Pardon my language.
Well, that's a little collab they did. And
I wish Milo would go a little deeper into human genetics, but I think he's afraid of getting destroyed by outing the truth about human genetics. So he's always really he's the Redditor of the human genome, That's the sad truth.
Stacy Lee, I see that comment. No, so Stefan Milo, how many subscribers? Only 46, right? But if you go to Minuteman, I think he's got like 2 million. So that guy, he gets.
Wow, he's
really 400.
I thought he had like 2 million. He only has 4.5.
463. I see it more clearly now.
Oh, well, wow. 100,000. Just give me 100,000 of those subscribers.
That makes me though. It does make me think that Milo's a bit more like legit. Like that he's maybe tried to not be legit so that he could be acceptable publicly, but it hasn't quite worked, and he's still only 500,000. That means something. So I'll give him a little bit.
No, I would say the same thing, but both of those guys were giggling like little bitches. Then they didn't. They talked about the architecture of the Rashad structure. Wake up call. There is no architecture. Okay, there's no architecture. Look at the
architecture. Could mean it's artificial.
Well, let me. If
even then,
geology,
we'd be talking about what's left. Yeah.
Architecture. But they used the term architecture, and then they didn't show any architecture because there's no architecture to show. And then I immediately put my second part 2 video up. You just showed that earlier of Wadan. That's the architecture. So they haven't been there, and they're guessing about what things are. And I'm like, no, I was there. It's not a fence. They're saying, "Oh, that's this." And there's that.
You know what though? I wish we used words differently anyway, because archy, like hierarchy, is like the chief or the apex principle, and tech is like technology. So it is the chief the principal technology is really what the word should mean. And we could be looking at it and saying, what is the principal technology of this structure? What was the value to it? Naturally for the environment or for a civilization where water could channel into a place, not be placid, doesn't allow for mosquitoes to breed, and energy can be used. There's all sorts of reasons we've talked about, such as mining, or maybe even just spiritually, people wanting to get up higher than other people. Like there's all kinds of reasons. But it's interesting that they're inferring that they understand this idea that, hey, there were people probably that were thinking thoughts, right, around these things. So that's a good start.
No, well, these guys, Milo and Milo, they certainly missed that point and made fools of themselves, in my opinion. But I want to say one final thing about that whole video was the chat was all about Santorini. Oh, it was just an allegory. Plato was giving us an allegory, and it was just Santorini. And the who's the oppressive forces in that point? Forgot who they were. They were in Crete. They were over there in Lebanon. Who were those people that attacked and they were occupying Santorini when it went down, and that was the allegory. No,
when do you mean like recently or thousands
like
of years
2,000
ago?
years ago?
The Phoenicians or no?
We have the sea peoples.
I forget.
We have the sea peoples, and okay, now I'm angry. It's in the chat right there on that video you were looking at. Let's not worry about that though, because let's talk about what Plato said. Plato said it's beyond the Pillars of Hercules. He was in Greece when he said that, so he's pointing west. And then he talks about Cadiz. Cadiz is right here. Yeah, let me zoom in. By the way, in February, on Valentine's Day, I was right here. I was at the Pillars of Hercules, right there. There's two mountains.
Your live stream live from there on February.
I live streamed. Thank you, Bernie. You were in it. And then Cadiz.
Are we looking at Spain right now? Gibraltar.
This is Spain and Morocco. That's the Strait of Gibraltar. Hercules made that. He busts through there and he let the Atlantic Ocean spill into the Mediterranean, creating the largest waterfall in the world. That's what he said. That why was this empty? I don't know. Maybe it was an ancient mining strip mine. But okay, let's just go over what Plato said. Pillars of Hercules beyond. He also said Cadiz. You know what he said specifically? Across from Cadiz, the part of Atlantis that was closer to the pillars and Cadiz. Right here, we're talking about Morocco. So look, if you want to say there was an island out here and that was Atlantis, I can accept it. But Plato also made reference to the various islands in the open sea. So there they are. That's not the concentric circles. He's talking about Atlantis. It was right here. All his words, by the way, there was a paper done by Michael Hubner. He died. He put it right there south of. I went to the Atlas Mountains, but I was getting sick, and I decided I was mad about something, and I said, I'm out of here. But this right here is the Su Masa. Michael Hubner pointed it right here. The only mountain in Plato's story is this one, Atlas Mountains. And by the way, what's the name of those mountains? Atlas, the name of the sun in the story, the first twin, the king of Atlantis was King Atlas. Here's the mountains. They're not out there. So we've got Pillars of Hercules, Cadiz, Atlas Mountains. We've got the Sumasa Plateau, which is right. If you look at that, Michael Hubner, it points right there. And then, of course, you have the fact that the king of Atlas for Mauritania, I wish I had my pictures of him, he's responsible for, guess what? The Atlas. Navigational. Seafaring navigation by the stars. This King Atlas from Mauritania may not have been the same King Atlas, but he was probably a descendant of that king. And what can I say? We've got the concentric circles then. And the Tamanrasset River. Let's not forget about that. You guys still there? I don't hear anything.
I'm just watching. I'm looking at like the flow of sand. I'm thinking about the flow of sand here too, because a big thing for me when I first started getting interested in all this stuff was, again, the California gold rush and looking at California as an island with a series of lagoons and how they blew up mountains with dynamite and then they flooded them with fireman hoses and then they just poured the terrain after they washed the gold out into the rivers, and so you ended up filling up this area. So the quarrying of Mauritania and around it, you can see, look at this. Look at where sand and sediment has filled in what might have been at some point more of an island, right? This could have easily been. There's much more stony property in the center there, and then everything else around it looks like sand is blowing. It's flowing, right? You have a sediment flow. It's a mud.
The Tamanrasset ran right along here. They say it goes over this mountain. It went around it. I don't see that. I don't know how they come up with that. But we do, like you just said, have a lot of sand moving and covering stuff up. So if they have evidence that it went around there, that's fine. But I believe this was an ancient sea. I believe they used the Tamanrasset River to fill up
clearly. It looks like it's flowing that direction. It's just dried now, right? Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay, so the Milo and Milo boys, the first thing they said is there's no animals. It's like, wait a minute, are you forgetting the Green Sahara theory? I mean, it's been green twice since the Younger Dryas event, and the Younger Dryas event kind of symbolizes when Atlantis was finished.
It's going green right now, and that's the weirdest part for people. They're trying to say how long it takes for things to happen, while simultaneously telling you that climate change is due to your feedback loops, and then Africa is going to be desert forever while there's snow landing on it and grass growing, and you have literally green in the middle. Like, come on, America, stop believing in these lies. Look at how quickly Africa is going to turn into the next rainforest. You're going to be alive for it.
Plato discusses canals every 10 stadia. This down here looks like a canal every 10 stadia to me. This is called the Kalahari canals. But you don't have to go down that far south to find stuff like that. That's 250,000 square miles of those lines. But up here in Mali, and there's also some interesting lines. That's the ones that are close in Mali, but there's some other ones over here that to me, wait, where am I? I got lost? Okay, I guess I was talking about right here. See, these lines are everywhere. And so when you talk about a canal that's every 10 stadia, what's a stadia? A stadia is 200 meters or 120. It depends if it's the Egyptian stadia or the Greek stadia or the Roman stadia. But it doesn't really matter to me because the Rashad structure is 4 times larger than Plato described.
Yeah. It's 600 Greek feet.
Milo and Milo, because Milo Stefan and whatever, Milo Rossi and Stefan Milo, they were like, there's no animals there. Well, here's a picture of animals and water from 2023. Those must be camels, I believe. And there's the water right over there. And why does it look like it's raging? I don't know. Because if you look at the history, it's not, there's nothing there. Or maybe the picture just doesn't, there's nothing there. So for there, I don't know if that's a little tiny bit of water right there, but I doubt it. There's some trees, but 2023 was a very wet year. Like you say, it's getting greener and the animals are coming back. There were no elephants.
Birds are bringing seeds.
There were no elephants in the Azores. There's no gold in the Azores.
There's whale bones, but there's no gold or there's not a lot of land stuff.
Well, whale bones. I didn't even know that, but I guess that makes sense, right? Okay, 30-mile canal. I've got look over here on the left. So just to be aware of what we're up against, we're already in 1 hour. I don't mind going for. You know what?
If you're down to go another hour, it's totally cool.
There's a glitch here. I don't know what's going on. There we go. That glitch is weird. But anyways, we're right at the top, and I got all those places. So the first ones I've shown recently, and then the last ones were the final ones that I wanted to, like, if I had to make a presentation right now. So what I'm seeing here from this angle is this big long thing here on the bottom. There's a going through right here, maybe a 30-mile long canal right there. And then when you get out here, you've got a shoreline that's more than 200 miles long right there. Let me tell you a couple more things about Mauritania. That's kind of in the wrong spot, but up here, this thing, we've got this big mountain. This is the longest train in the world right there. You can take it for free. This is the hop-on point right there. You can jump on that train and ride it for free. Those look empty. But you can jump on there and you can ride it for free to the capital.
Wow. Because it just goes every day, I guess.
It goes like every day. It's the longest.
And why is it, you said it looks empty, but like, was it supposed to have,
is it supposed to be
quarrying freight? Iron ore.
Iron ore. That's all that they do. They fill it with iron ore. It goes down and gets put on ships. This whole big mountain is called I just learned the name, Kedia del Gil. And I've been looking at this. This is that thing I said that the river was supposed to go around. Hard for me to believe. Zorarat is a city over here. It's all mining town. Zorarat, that's where the international airport is. Fideric. But the reason why I brought you up here first was because I told you the Tamanrasset River was supposed to have flown right through here. So we go out to
let's give a like ADHD recap for a second. So if you guys remember we said the last time we watched with the first episode, this is the second episode of the Tamanrasset Feedback Loop 2. The first episode, we talked about how Africa was covered in a river system, right? And this river system was called the Tamanrasset River System. And it's huge. It's bigger than the Mississippi. And it was actually around far more recently than we realized, and has existed far longer than almost any other river system. And it seems like it's very closely tied to travel by humans, because if you put your town by a river and you get on a boat, then you can get all over the place without a highway. And so this is some of the most practical ways of getting not only yourself around, but eventually moving ore, right? Moving all this metal and doing all of this civilization building. But it looks like the problem with that is it could end up in feedback loops, ecological feedback loops, where all of a sudden, very quickly, it turns from river to desert, right?
Tamanrasset exited right here. And when Plato mentioned the shoal of mud, you still have a shoal of mud surrounding this area. There's no shoal of mud in the middle of the Atlantic. And it apparently came right out here. I believe there were two rivers. I think that this little thing here that I showed you a minute ago, I said it's a 30-mile long canal right here. I think that was also a river, and I think it came out right about here. So I think that there were. Look, if you look at that Mississippi River picture of all the tertiaries, it's more than just one line. It's thousands of lines.
There's totally like a system. It's veins.
Yeah, you got, and there's rivers everywhere. And you can look at a water system here. Let me say one thing. There's no water that goes out of the Rashad structure. It comes, all goes in. The Wadan River flows into the Rashad.
Well, let me show this really quickly too. Then, just the idea that before the Mississippi, there was a sea, and so eventually, what you get is the most efficient ways of keeping water flowing while still connecting the land back together. But you can see that originally there was just extreme amounts of water. The other thing is, since Bob John's bringing up the Amazon River. You know this probably, the desert dust from the Sahara is feeding and has fed into the Amazon, which is what makes the Amazon so red and yellow and why it's so fertile in so many ways. Because it's actually one rainforest today feeding off a former rainforest from the past, right? That's the craziest thing. Here's the picture of the sand spreading, and this is their kind of scientific... I mean, this is not necessarily always wrong. There definitely is sandstorms that can carry sand across the sea like this. But for the most part, it also infers that for thousands of years or tens of thousands of years or more like millions of years, whatever we want to say, that the sand has been connecting these continents together, right?
I'm looking for that picture. You just showed that one of the North America. I'm looking for that picture that I have of the
imagine being like a lake house in the middle of the desert, right? That's what this is. And you could have taken one lake, one river,
green.
And you could have pretty much traveled from one, let's say like, oh man, I'm in this
elephants and stuff in like the caves throughout the desert there. And
but there would have been tiny rivers and creeks and things that would have connected you from one to the other. And if they didn't have one, they would have built one. And if they built a channel from one river to another channel that's 200 miles long, that's going to have ecological feedback loops, which could eventually destroy the entire lake system.
I'm looking for the picture of Africa that does the same thing that North America did. I'm about to give up on it too, but there's so many directions we can talk about. But
my theory
let me say one thing: it depends on the time. You know, there may have been an ocean in Africa, but it depends on when you're looking. You know, and there's different.
Or did the ocean just sweep through from a tsunami that wiped everything out, and that's why it's a salty plain now with nothing growing?
It could have been something one time and then something else another time.
My theory tends to be and I agree with Stig on this, that there's been multiple changes that have happened. These changes have happened super quickly, and they've taken long times in between those changes, so we get used to the way the world's been. But I think if you go back even just in the last 2,000 years, Africa's been through this a few times. And if you look at the Aral Sea, which is always my example, but I'll do it again. The Aral Sea is the Soviet sea that was ginormous.
Is that gone? Oh yeah, you're right. I saw that. Is it gone?
Yeah. It's pretty much completely it's completely they're trying to restore it now since 1989, but it's pretty much basically this was 1989, it was pretty much completely dried out. And this was one of the largest.
It super deep?
Super deep, super big, super amazing. Yeah, it was like one of the biggest lakes in the world.
One of the biggest seas, yeah.
Yeah, it's a sea. It was a sea. It was a the salt sea. So, but this is what I imagine happened in Africa, that you have precipitation that lands not in the lake anymore, and so all of a sudden it causes a feedback loop. The old feedback loop was that water landed in the lake and you had more lake. Now, without that feedback loop, it's water drains from the lake and you have less lake. And one would go more and one would go less very quickly. In 60 years, you would have had a giant lake. In 60 years, you have no lake.
Kind of looks like a Titan toe print or footprint. No, I'm going with that's a Titan lake.
Another example of this is Cabo in Mexico. Let me look at a map really quickly here. You'd think that with all the water and climate, I need like a satellite.
California, the Baja Coast was a
okay. So here's an example here. Yeah. So now, because the island the way this works now is that water dries. It dries up. It then rains off. The wind blows it off into the sea, and so you have this dry zone, which is Southern California, Baja California. Compare that to this, right? Where rain's coming down and you have constantly rainforest, even though it's been this is what we have today, this crazy dry zone. Right,
I live very close to that spot in the armpit. I'm there now.
Let's do it
dry,
again.
Salty Stig, you.
Well, if you know where the Salton Sea is, right above that armpit, is that it right there where the Colorado River comes out?
Oh, I just went to look at Croatia and Italy too.
Oh, that was a different spot. Okay.
Yeah, because there's these kinds of things happen. Like they do this, and now, yeah, this is the Mexico Cabo San Lucas right here. Right here's San Diego up north here, and then Ensenada is right there. I think Tijuana, Ensenada.
I've been there a couple times.
But you can see it's very similar to Italy and Croatia. But the difference is in Italy and Croatia, they have root structures and they have wind systems that are grabbing it. Northern California, similarly, these giant redwood trees, which are holding all the moisture. And so this is why it doesn't end up just desert, right? But it did at one point because the Romans cut down all the trees in Croatia and Slavic Moldavia so that they could make boats. And then all of a sudden it turned into like rock. And it was super desertified until the 1920s. And then they started land projects to build and grow trees, and now all of a sudden the weather's changed because of that. You have far more rain because the rain is being held by the trees. So these things are really quick. You can really quickly change your environment. And I find that one really interesting because the Soviets, the Yugoslavians, the Germans, the Americans, they basically destroyed all these places and they became deserts, and then people would have to buy water in Coca-Cola bottles, and then they sold their land. For like $100, you could buy like their house, their farm, their everything. And now today, they put their Airbnb hotel resort towns that cost hundreds of millions of dollars. The elite are now turning the water back on, and these places are becoming great again, right?
Kind of like California and how they emptied all the dams a few years back.
Well, look at the one right next to Las Vegas. They found dead bodies.
Yeah, that was pretty horrible. That was a whole other horrible thing, is just destroying the homeless population in Vegas. Black belt.
I didn't even know about that. Okay, by the way, I was, while you were talking, I pulled up a bunch of images. We were talking about the trade routes in Africa. You can see it's not spelled Ouadane, but here it's wadan. And by the way, I know the coastline very well. Right there, that is right across from Wadan. And down here that would be Senegal. So I'm going to close this one. I'm literally closing it down.
It's pretty cool another one though.
Yeah, this is only 1,000 years ago. Oh, I don't want to show you that yet. But the thing is I hate to lose stuff. This is another one of the different products that they would pull out.
Wow.
Salt is crazy here. I never really got on board with the whole. I respect Jimmy Corsetti a lot, but the guy who by the way, this is the new thing. We got to talk about it. Dang, I forgot. Graham Langdon of Archaic Lens went to the Rashad structure 2 times, got his drone in there, but he found these hand axe heads, a whole field of them, 10,000 of them. And And of course he found salt, but he was like, I'm going there for Jimmy and I'm looking for salt. There's salt. We know there's salt. Okay, forget salt. I'm closing this. So yell if you don't want me to close it for any reason. But
well, you know, I get his point though, because salt is such an important thing. Like if you go to Chile and you look at how they're lithium mining and everything, like salt is what they use to run the next economy in a lot of ways. The idea of crystal power.
We need our salt.
Batteries are going to be worth a fortune.
What's the difference? It's potential. It's potential. It's potential versus kinetic energy. So the big investment ideologically is in potential energy versus kinetic energy, right? Because you can always charge crystal.
And salt is crystal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. That's really the way you got to look at it. Basically.
Well, I just love to put that Himalayan salt on my food. I mean,
it's so delicious.
I like to keep it like.
I love to use it in electrolysis for my experiments.
Hold the
you like to, wait a minute, slow down though, because I was thinking about this Himalayan salt might not be pure enough for stuff like that.
Well, I usually will do the experiment first in distilled water with regular salt, and then afterwards I'll use the Himalayan salts, and it usually gives the exact same. But you're right on that for impurities.
I like the Himalayan salt for me because it has the most trace minerals in it. Oh, there you go. Lick it. No, I don't know if you should do that. They may have put something on top of it.
Yeah, it's salty.
It's salty, then probably nothing on top.
Well, wash it well if you decide to use it for your consumption. This is just showing Wadan had a river system up here at the top. Wait, I'm not putting my mouse in the right place. There it is. And that area up there, that river system, that's the real modern day river system. All water goes into the Rashad. Nothing leaves. I'm going to close this. But this is like the modern day river systems in the Rashad also. And that water I just showed you with the camels, that's over here. There's water there today because, like you said, there's a growth. Remember those two stones you showed us in the video that I put up? I think that this has a relationship with those types of stones. This is the top of the drawer.
Like a pathway, like that.
I've never
floor. Like
I don't know the point. But do I believe that's natural? I do not. I've never been here. I'm gonna have to go back and finagle somebody who I blew off and that I should pay money to, and it probably cost me like these guys when they are showing you stuff like this. You got to give yourself to them for like 2 days, and you're gonna have to sleep out in the sand somewhere. So I never really say again.
So you definitely don't want to upset them, and you want to pay them what they ask for.
They're probably armed, yeah. And by the way, I don't see a date very clearly. It looks like 7:45 a.m. on the 31st. But this looks old to me. It was given to me to entice me to go on a tour, and I was just like, I got other things I got to do. But then I had a friend scold me and say, you should have gone, and I really should have. I'm going to close this. The Roman road. I think we saw it there. No, I showed you this. You saw this?
Bimini Road. That kind of looks like Bimini Road in Bimini, Bahamas.
I agree with that. But ever since Graham Hancock came out with his Ancient Apocalypse, they showed a 3-dimensional view of that road, and that really turned me on. I think it looked like a boat ramp to me, like for giants, a giant boat ramp.
Could be, right?
I was searching for this picture that was similar to the one that Andreas showed that has an ancient sea coming through here. Definitely there may have been an entry point here. That's why this whole thing was Atlantis, or separate. This was Libya over here, but there was a separation, and because of that, they considered it a separate island. But here you see the way that the Tamanrasset, and by the way, that's not the tertiaries, that's just the big one. There must have been a whole bunch more. So people have to consider that when they think about the Tamanrasset. I was showing this because I grabbed it, but here's the Tamanrasset. I believe that regardless of the fact that they didn't have any rivers over here, they did. Plato said that the Pillars of Hercules and the Cadiz was across from it. It says right here, facing the country which is now called the region of Gades or Gades or Gadieres. We know it's Cadiz. Cadiz is the oldest city in Western Europe. And to be able to say it's across from that, to me, really says something. It was the island facing Gadieres, so it means that this island here went to the twin. And where did the other part go? Probably down here where the Rashad structure is. I believe there were ancient canal systems that connected that. I can show them to you. I'm going to close this now.
Wow.
I'll show that to you.
Show us.
But here we are. By the way, another thing to remember is this line right here. That shows the ancient shore.
Right? That's the old coastline.
That's the old coastline. You can see it here. I left it there. You can see it here. So the old coastline, there's no mystery. It's there. And you can see right here.
Of the time, like more evidence of Atlantis, you go out to that old coastline on the coast and you go down, and I guarantee you'll find some megalithic cities, right?
Right, because they would have lived right on the coast. And yeah, I agree with you. It's got to be right about here. Maybe here's the river, so maybe over here or down here. I believe something was going on between the two rivers. I think a river came out here. This is Nouakchott down here. That's the capital. Well, I think the river came right above it, right out here. But you don't see, okay, you know how to prove it? Is you look at this stuff right here. That indentation out there, that means the river was there. Indentation here, there was a river there. That, I don't know. Over here, we've got this indentations out here. They've done their research on that. They show it right there. That's where the main part of the Tamanrasset River came out. Tamanrasset River. Can I talk?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's look at it. Snail trails from Zug. So because the Tamanrasset definitely had some activity, I believe that these things... Okay, we'll start with this, what I call snail trails. What the hell are they? I believe that they're dumped from some type of mining activity. They had some type of a thing that was moving material and leaving a line. It's all over this whole place. But more importantly are the canals that go through here as well. Now, that's more, I call them snail trails. And maybe some tectonic activity happened because sometimes you see the snail trails separate. I call this snail trail chaos because it's just so crazy up there. But
oh, it could have been flooded in this area where it's all scrambled compared to being higher
probably
ground,
a little bit flooded. I mean, okay, well, I'm not going to show you. We're going to go back over here by the what am I showing you? Okay, let me just back out so you know where that is. That's right on the border between that mountain I showed you. This is the border of Western Sahara. But this mountain here, down here, and by the way, it's like literally right on the borderline, the mountain. But this mountain has a snail trail. And the mountain itself, by the way, when you go into it, you can see a lot of other burial activity. These small mounds are burial mounds. And it even has one of the curved ones, and it's facing west, just like the other ones. That thing right there, that thing that looks like a, what do you think that looks like, a horseshoe?
Yeah, half circle, semicircle.
That's also a burial site. And right in the middle of it is a mound right there. And that's probably where the body is, or if it's not a body, if it's not a giant, then I don't know. It's not a human. I mean, it's not just a modern day human. Maybe somebody old, or maybe it's not even a burial at all. Look at how this snail trail stopped and then went over to the side and then started again. What kind of a snail trail does that? I mean, is it a trail? Because we know that we have rocks that move through the desert because the ground gets really wet and then the wind blows it. You've seen that, right?
Yep.
The moving rocks. But this thing, that doesn't really look like a moving rock. It's got snail trails all around it. Okay, in addition to that, we've got some canals. I'm just going back to where I was earlier. These canals have intersections. You can follow these canals for miles. And there's other intersections that they meet. There's another one there. And I mean, look, man, I'm not saying that you couldn't find that naturally without a canal in nature.
I don't know how that would be natural, though, to have like intersecting roads like that, like 4 perfect crosses. Like,
that's the thing. These like intersections are pretty impressive.
Is it an intersection or is it a road? Is it a canal? I don't even care really. I mean, I just want to show.
Constructed, whatever it is, right?
It's worth it just to point it out, but I think people should really investigate it more than just say, "Oh wow, that's a natural anomaly," and assume. I mean, because really, that's on the presumption that no one could have done that. It makes more. We have to figure out the most inexplicable solution, how wind would do
illogical way.
Because
clearly there were no British people doing that, and therefore it couldn't have been done.
It was French, but yeah, and no, there wasn't somebody doing this in the last 100 years. And look at that big, huge one. Now that could be a river, that could be a modern day waterway, but it broke away, and you can see that canal. It got all messed up, and I don't know. I mean, you can follow these things for a mile. Look at this one. And are they canals or are they not? I mean, the snail trails, I think, is mining dumping. And this is my speculation. I don't have any evidence except for the fact that these things are all over. I want to show you some right now. I'm going to go to the Tamanrasset mountain.
I agree. It kind of looks like Nazca, right? So maybe it's something similar. There's huge rock lines throughout Saudi Arabia and stuff that are artificial. So it could be related to that.
Well, depending on how you look at Nazca, I think Nazca might be... Okay, first of all, Brian Forrester told me the Nazca lines can wash away in a 100-year storm. So that doesn't, to me, that's inferior. I mean, okay, look at this one. I zoomed in the Tamanrasset. Now, I wouldn't say that this is a snail trail, but what you see is activity damming the river. Here. You go along this river. These, I call them snail trail mountains or ridges, similar to those. But then you see them over here. They're not even damming a river. They're just going over the mountain. Where's the river? And there's another line here. So why would they do it if they weren't doing a project with it? Is it just disposing of material? Why are these lines? Look at these lines going across. Okay, this is river again. We've got some rivers. So I would say that's damming activity. I'll show you that in the Rashad structure. But this is the mountain that supplied the water to the Tamanrasset mountain. And you see these ridges and snail trails. Look at these going perpendicular. These are going this way. They're going across that river. They were like, whatever that was, if it was water, rushing water, look how they go across that water here and here and here. And up here, it's like a real mountain. This is like the ones I showed you in New Mexico, or the ones in North America. I mean, this is all over the Sahara. Okay, now I'm going to go to show you one. Now I'm going to talk about damming. This is one down in the Teat area. I'll back out so you can see it. But do you see this dam? There's a dam going across. I don't know why it's right there. I don't want to call that a dam. But the thing is, it's aligned with these inlets. I used to think those were canal inlets. Now I'm thinking maybe they had something to do with the damming. Where are we? We're down in Teat. Let me point it north and go out. And the Rashad structure is just north of there. But what I just showed you, these things are all over the Rashad structure as well. You have dams along the north shore of the Rashad, like this one right here. I mean, how old do you think that is? It goes underneath the sand. I believe it's going underneath the sand, in my opinion. You can see that line. It looks like a river, or I should say a dry river bed. But you see like a kind of a wall right there. And then you see like a line, and it goes under the sand. And that's the biggest dam there, and that's the Adrar Plateau. So why would they do that? Was that modern day, or was that after the cataclysm that destroyed Atlantis, or was it part of Atlantis? I think it might have been afterwards, but that's still a pretty damn big dam, and it goes under the sand. So this ancient lake bed goes under the sand. The shoreline is here, and then it goes under the sand. I believe this was an ancient sea in the north. Let me point it north again so you know where we are, because a lot of people might not. The Rashad structure is right there. So we've got this shoreline on the north side, 200 miles long, clearly used to have water in there. We don't know about up here because the sand's covering it, but I suspect that the ancient Tamanrasset River, which was supposed to be right here, literally just filled this sea up. And they use that as the oceans that they describe in Plato. I could be wrong, but call that an island. I mean, this is a bizarre structure. I don't even want to talk about it being an island, but if you do, the Adrar Plateau is part of that island.
Eating fish. What are you talking about, David Stig?
Say that again. What?
I was just joking on some people claiming that it's a Titan fish because it looks like a fish with an eye, but
we have two fish.
It's the Jesus fish.
We have this big fish. I call that thing a fish. It's squid,
that's
maybe.
A shark. That's a shark.
It looks like a squid, and that's its beak right there, and that's its eyeball right there.
I see the eyeball for sure. I can kind of see a beak. I also see a whale or shark. I see the
shark. And that was my early days.
It's an island. I like that, Gene Splice.
Yeah, but you know what? You got to see something in the clouds, or else how are you going to remember where they are?
I didn't have anything to reference, so I just called that a fish, the big fish. And the little fish is over here. Where's the little fish at? Right here. The little fish next to it has a lot of lines in there. Like if you go in here to these sand dunes, which I don't argue they're sand dunes, you can see lines going underneath the sand dunes. I like this one right here because it's got like a little toll booth station along one of the lines. What do you think that was? Wow, by the way, this scan is great. You can really see it now. You couldn't see it before. This scan is great, but it's right on the corner, right along the edge of this line that goes underneath the sand dunes. And you can see this one, they come together over here. So were they roads? Were they walls? Were they canals? Maybe they were like raised canals or something. Okay, but that's going away from my presentation. Let's look at the North Sea dams. We're going back to the dams. Stop me if you have a question. There's another dam, and it goes underneath the sand. This is over by Michelle's Curve. This is a 10 it's 10 miles. It's like 17 kilometers, this curve. And I think there's a canal on both sides of it. I'll show you that later. But there's other canals near that. Here's another one. We've been looking at this for a long time, so I'm just documenting what we've already seen. There's this canal over here. This canal, I was going to go there. But it's really difficult to get there. And then, of course, oh, no, that wasn't it. That was another dam. The one I want to go to is here because this, to me, looks like it's modern day. But it twists around so it kind of goes this direction, and it's not very big. I just wanted to see, is this concrete? Are these straight lines? It's not just freaking natural rock. What is it? Is that a canal? Is that a wall? So these things, I'm pretty sure it's a wall because I think they were putting dams there to grab the water after Atlantis collapsed. Some people still wanted to get that water.
That makes the most sense, right? Or also, to dam up water is also one of the most ancient laws. Do not dam water. It's like from Ptahotep's divine maxims, right?
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Indeed. Indubitably.
Okay, look, this thing isn't really special except when you start looking at what I showed you in South Africa. You've got that guttural line. Like, I don't see how that's natural right there when you've got this enclave. Probably kind of mined out. I don't know, but check out these other ones. There's this other one right here. It's another little line along an enclave that to me kind of shows some kind of activity. Could be wrong. Could be totally natural. This next one, it looks totally natural to me, but I grabbed it because of its position with this inlet right here. So I think that there might have been some kind of an activity. To me, that's not very special. There's another one here. These are all along that shoreline I showed you. Now, this one reminds me of the stuff that's down, I showed you first, down in T-Cheat. And you can see the same thing, an inlet, but you see a line that follows down below. Like, was there a machine that did that? Okay, these are looking like they're kind of natural, so I don't expect you to get too excited about it. But they're a little straight. I don't really see rivers that get that straight, that go, usually even in the Grand Canyon where I think mining has happened, you have, like, that's a river. That's a dry riverbed. That's a dry riverbed. That's a dry riverbed. But this straight line, I think that was a canal. A canal segment. I call them canal segments. There's some in the middle of the Rashad and the Adrar, these canal segments that are totally straight and long. And most people think I'm crazy, but they didn't see the parallel canals. And by the way, I truly believe that's unnatural because I know this line here. We've seen the LiDAR. You know what, Andreas? I don't think you've seen it, but I showed it to Bernie. There's a LiDAR that came out that I just navigated away from it. I'm just going in the order of this stuff. This thing is a total mystery. It's called Dar or Imiert. I know the guy that owns the farm right there of palm trees. We'll just zoom way out. But if you notice, we've got some symmetry going here, like a phoenix, like a bird, like an eyeball. I don't know. Sometimes I think it was created. But when you zoom back in here, this long thing, this is really long. That area, I know the guy that owns that. And he invited me to camp there. I'm more interested in this structure because of all the work on top of it. I think it's ancient quarrying. I'm going to click on it one by one. We'll go to this east end. And what you see is, I know they're not perfect parallel. These aren't straight lines. But for quarriers, they are.
How did sand or water supposedly erode that? Like, there's just no way.
Oh, don't forget the wind. There's the wind and the water.
That's what I meant by sand. Sorry, the wind with the sand.
No. I'm joking when I say that. That's
I know. Like, it's ridiculous.
Parallel lines, and I see what I call relief cuts that go at this angle here. Is that 45 degrees? Not exactly. Maybe it's 33. Maybe it's maybe I don't know what that is. But you see that 45 degree. I'm going to say 45, even though it's not really true. You see that relief cut all along this edge. Here it is again. You see the lines that are parallel and the relief cuts that go at that same angle. Why are they always the same? Is that how wind operates? Is that how wind and water erosion operates? I don't think so.
Or they claim that it was ice ball Earth at one point. It was a giant glacier that somehow moved one way, then the other way, then the exact other way to get those three separate parallel line waves. Like, it makes no sense.
It doesn't. Look at that. You have that same relief cut, but it's really flat right there. I don't like to speculate too much. I like to show you. I like to show you what I see. We're going along the same place. We've gone over to the other side, so it's not that same plateau. But again, straight lines, relief cuts, straight lines, relief cuts. And it's not just that. It's the whole thing. I mean, it's the whole thing. What about these two parallel lines right here? Down here, we've got two parallel. Where is it? Right there. They kind of go off a little bit right up there, but they start out totally parallel. And then you've got these relief cuts going through there. I mean, by the way, there's like a spring up there. There's supposed to be a water source up there. I've never seen it. I've looked a little bit. I guess maybe with these new scans, it might be easy to find. But to me, it looks like oblivion. Machined, worked. This ancient shoreline right here, I think that was definitely a waterway for Atlantis. This is the South Shore. And you see again and again these cuts. And the White Valley next, this is the White Valley. That's it. This whole long thing is called the White Valley. I've never been there. I drove past here. There's the road right there on the left. I drove past it. I'm pretty sure the road's right there, not over here. And you get on, I drove on that road, and I went up to Attar. The city of Attar is way up here. This is the beginning, and that's the city of Attar. And then once you're there, and I spent the night there a couple times, then you take this road right there to the top of the plateau. And right next to that is the parallel canals. That's what I'm trying to show next is this parallel canals. One canal here, one canal there. They're totally parallel. And in the middle of it is what I call Rudolph. I'll talk about that later. But the North Canal, I walked down that canal. I didn't walk very far. I started about here. And the reason why was because I didn't know how to get there. So I parked the car over here. There's a road over here. We parked the truck there, and we walked. Now, if I had known better, I probably would have just driven the truck right there over to the canal, but I didn't do that. Could have crossed the canal right there. So I drove farther south, and then we hiked about a mile or a kilometer from the road to the canal. Oh, here's a
It
tip.
looks like there's trees in that, what you're calling a canal, which would be evidence of it definitely being a canal, because there'd still be water underneath it.
There's definitely water in there. Yeah, look at all the trees, and you can. I noticed that too. And the trees are very thick where I was,
Right?
and they're nowhere around it. So that would mean there's still base water underneath the sand that's collected in the base of that channel. So that would definitely be an old canal.
I agree with you. There are other trees around. I don't want to like mislead people. Those are trees. When I walked over to that, I found other canals that I thought was it. I'm like, oh, that's it right here. Where was I? It was like, oh my God, that's it. We're here. Look at all those trees. And then I looked again. I'm like, no, that's not it. We got to keep walking. And I was ready to turn back. But then, of course, I finally reached it, and it was very clear. And I stood there, and I don't have it ready for you right now. Maybe soon, though, I'll be able to grab that type of video. I have a video of that canal. It's about, I'd say, not quite 20 feet high, but the trees are like 30 feet high, and the edge of the canal meets the trees. Now, here it filled up with sand, but you still have the canal going. But there's still trees, right? Lots of trees. Down here, it kind of disappears under the sand. And how do you know? You follow the trees, right?
Still following the trees. That's a telltale sign.
But then it starts back up, but guess what? No trees. Yeah, here it might have been some type of an inlet. Look at the flat rock at the bottom right there. I mean, there's steps. But something that used to be like an inlet. I kind of think that might have gone somewhere. That's just my personal theory. I have no evidence. And then when you get down here, there's no more trees. I mean, you have your occasional tree in there, but it goes all the way down to the White Valley. In fact, it breaks up there. By the way, they're going to use natural areas, but this, I think, got covered up. And you can see the trees, like you just said, go right across this river. So what's stronger? The trees going down the river? That's a dry bed now, but they actually have dams because sometimes there's water. There's a modern day dam right there. Or is it that line of trees that cuts it? Because it used to be a freaking mega canal. And you can follow that line all the way down. Now it cuts through some serious mountain. I don't know why it would be like that. I would think they would just go straight down here. It looks like they did both. But then it went down here and met this thing. And when you back out of there, that's still above the White Valley. The White Valley is down here.
So it's literally a canal carved into a former river channel.
Yeah, it beats it. I think this was flood control. I'll tell you why I think it was flood control. See, this other canal, it looks like it had a lot of water damage. And it's a lot wider. In the middle, it gets nice and skinny. But at both ends, it's really wide. But over here at the top, where I think the water entered, it really does point out that you can still see that canal. So why is it like starting here? Well, you start to see some other activity over here. We're talking about the highest point in the Archaeology Plateau. We've got quarry lines. That's a natural river right there. But all these lines going through are machining the land, working the land. What were they doing? They were taking away the content. I'm going to show you something really important in a second. On my last trip, Andreas, I drove here and I got some from the ground shots of these ridges. Do you see these? Do you see these lines?
Yeah, totally. Again, all straight. It's like it's crazy, just straight across, like they just pulled a rake across it.
Right, like a Japanese sand garden. But here's the ancient plateau. This is the highest point of the Adrar Plateau up here. And when you get out here, you can see that those lines, they're on both sides of this, but they also go like right here, 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 here. They're kind of parallel. They're hard to see over here. You got a few over here, but the two mounds that come off what I call the nose, and I'm going to back out for you, but you've got two mounds, one here and one here. And they also have this quarry line going right through there. I have a picture from that road. I was right there. And I took a picture of this. I was over here. I couldn't get so close. I was out there. I took a picture of that quarry line and what I think is an ancient water wall over here. This is all aligned right here. This is the entry point for that flood zone. And it would go in here and come down here and then hit that, and that would flood it out. Over here, we had this one just in case. And I don't know. It must have, like, if it came around here, there's some rivers, and it grabbed all that water. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But I call that peak. I call that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, because he's got this nose right here. And the second trip I wanted to go there, but I couldn't. I only took pictures from a distance. But the last trip I drove right here. And you can see that cut through the mountain. Let me see if I can find that real quick. 2 mounds are aligned. And this mound here and this mound here, there's a saddle between them. I think there was a third mound they were building here. But those 2 mounds are lower. They're not as high as this plateau. So in my honest truth, I believe that's all mining content. They were building a wall. And they built this wall. Now look at this one. It's coming here. This wall, although it looks like that part, like it stopped right there. That thing, we're going to back out. This thing here, it serpentines across the plateau. But there's a plateau underneath it. How does a plateau, that line here and this line over here, represents the lower plateau that it's on top of? And then maybe later people came and quarried that out. They said, shit, this stuff's valuable to us. Maybe it's iron ore, or maybe it's
Stig, your good friend that I know you've done some videos with as well. I am Cairo. Shout out, asking how much of what you are seeing here is gold processing. How many different eras?
Thank you, I am Kairos, for that question. By the way, I met him in San Francisco. We were over there at the Golden Gate Bridge, where I was born. Actually, I was born where there's a statue of Yoda. But we met, and he showed me around that fort. I think it's called Fort Point. And this is now going. I don't want to get into this, but Tartaria and mud floods and a civilization that lived in North America in the last 500 years, probably, maybe a little longer. There's some questions. Look at Balboa in San Diego. Look at the World Trade Fairs. We met, and he showed me around there. It was eye-opening. Now I'm into this one channel called My Lunch Break. Check that out. That guy really points out. Kairos, if you're not... Yeah, look at that snake. To me, that looks like a serpentine snake. Kairos, if you're not watching My Lunch Break, you're really missing out. That guy, go to his first few videos. Yeah, I think this is an ancient wall. It goes all the way over here. There's an area here where it stops. So there's an open area here where water could have passed through. Then it starts again, and you follow it over to here, and then you find, guess what? Where is it? Right here, I think. It's another quarry. That's a quarry right there. That's a quarry. There's quarrying everywhere. And in my last trip, I went to the quarry that Randall Carlson mentioned in the middle of the Rashad. The chert outcrops. The South Sea, I call this the South Sea. I think that this wall was a water wall of some sort that was protecting the South Sea from spilling. This is speculation, but the fact that it connects to those 2 mounds, I mean, it totally lines up. Like, they were building that. That was a project. To answer Kairos's question, I didn't answer it. He said, how much of what we're seeing is gold processing? I think it's a lot of gold processing. I mean, you've got the iron ore mine now, but I believe that a lot of it was gold processing. Maybe not so much gold was coming from here, but in my opinion, Mansa Musa was the richest man in the world. He was richer than anybody alive today, right? And it was all because he inherited all this gold. Here's another wall. I'm going to show you where we are real quick so you know where we're talking about. Let me point it north and back out. Because the Rashad structure, and by the way, I didn't talk about this, it has a mouth. It's not quite on the south side. It's more southwest, sorry. But if you go out there and you follow it, You literally, there's a canal here that goes through that whole thing. It's right here. I finally figured out how to find the beginning of it. It starts here. I'm going to point it upright so we can follow it real quick. It kind of disappears here. Maybe this mud went on top of it, but you see the line continue. Let's point it north. Let's point it up down, I should say, not north. We're pointing it up down. That thing goes for 50 miles. Andreas, I don't think we've talked about this unless I showed it to you right when I found it in 2022.
So wild. Yeah, I mean, I think we need to look at this. How long did you say this is? How many miles? How many hundreds?
50.
Well, 50.
50.
That's crazy.
And then it goes into the open sea, what I think it was a sea. You look at this cut through right here. And you look at it, you say, that looks natural. Okay, whatever. We see the outcrops on both sides. We see the straight lines. That's a freaking cut through. That's a canal. Now,
and you see where it picks up there too, because obviously we're talking about how long. Look at you can see it. We pull back there. How long ago it was, though, also will affect. Parts of it might be wiped away a little bit here or there, but look at how long it is. It's just continually going.
Now you see a line, and by the way, we're going to get back to those trees you mentioned. I love the tree part of this story right here. It kind of disappears. You're like, oh, it's not here anymore. Wait, is it? Uh-oh. Still a line, still something, right? Definitely a line of trees right there. But it picks back up. Let me just back out because I don't want to be too boring. But it cuts through out here. It goes through these plateaus. Look at this part. And look at this part.
It just keeps going. That's
like,
crazy.
If you were walking,
what about this? What about this right angle here?
You just go right around there if you were walking, but if you're making a canal, you're going to make a straight line. Yeah. And the last part, okay, I think this thing separated into 2 lanes. Here and maybe here, maybe. Out here, we see the line still. Okay, where are we? Oh, that's it? Okay, wait a minute. We're not finished. I'm just going to skip ahead. There's the last plateau, and you have the cut through here, and then you have one over here. And it looks like you've got some lines coming together. I think it was a 2-way traffic at that point. But now we're going to go into the middle of nowhere. Now you see trees. I love this part because you keep following it out, and you're like, okay, I don't see anything. What do I see? Do I see anything? There's kind of a line right there. But and maybe this is really wide right there. And what's going on out there? That's a new scan. I don't remember seeing that. I'm looking for the trees. There they are. Check these trees out, Bernie. You mentioned them.
Another line of trees.
Line of trees going out in the middle of the freaking open desert. And by the way, I used to stop right there, but then I came out here a little farther and I found those. I'm like, there it is. That's proof.
There's more.
And where are we? Okay, I'm going to back out so you can see. So we're here. We're still about 100 miles away from the Rashad. Okay, but where are we pointing? We're pointing right at the Rashad. We got through the Adrar, and now this is probably an open sea. There's a modern-day river. There's a modern-day river. That seawall I showed you is over here. I think it's part of a modern-day well, I'm sorry. The modern-day river follows it, I think. But this thing seems to have some cut-throughs, too. 1, 2, and over here. Number 3. Nice and skinny one right there.
Weird. Really interesting, yeah.
What? Anyway, so
suspect.
Yeah. It's like something's going on here. Something's going on there. That's where it meets the mountain. And then, of course, I did go to the Semsiat. I call it a structure. They call it a Semsiat dome. Like it's another one of these inflated volcanoes that didn't pop. And then that thing, to me, I've got a new theory about this because when you look at it, you see that there's one part that is connected to the mainland right there. So I think that they were doing some activity in the middle. Maybe this is Kairos, if you're still there. Maybe this is where they were processing gold. And they used to drive through. Maybe these bays here were full of water. And that's, I don't know. I haven't worked it out. But is that a crater? I don't know. It looks like somebody created it. I drove right here. See, that's where I entered. There's a rock wall. Even in modern day, it's so important because it catches water that somebody wanted to claim it. They put a big rock wall around it, but you can drive right in. So I drove. You can see me driving because I didn't get to drive as much as I wanted to. And you drove in, and I drove over here, and I got right next to this part, and I looked, and it's like a whole different ecosystem. It doesn't look like it here, but yeah, those little areas. I was right there, and I drove. I wanted to just didn't have a lot of time, so. But what I really want to show you is this line right here. I showed you this canal segment already, but this thing is a dam. There's a new picture, Bernie, you saw it. It's LiDAR of this area, and it shows the dams that you can see across the Wadan River here. And then this thing, I think it must have connected to this because that gets you through. This thing right here. It's like a really sharp, pointy bay that goes to the north side, to the north shore. This is the north shore right here, connected to the north shore. But that long dam I was just talking about, I've been looking at that line for a long time. That line connects this to the Wadan, and it goes over it. It crosses it. You look at the LiDAR, and you can see clearly, I think it used to go across right here. You can see maybe on the other side. But over at the other end, Wadan, I call that the Wadan River. It is the Wadan River. It crosses it, and it actually literally used to create some type of a dam. So this is like ancient damming activity right here. Now, there's not just one. There's two. There's three. There's a bunch of them. There's another one that I didn't know about until I saw that LiDAR that's right here. That's Wadan right there. So that right there is another dam. And there's one going this way right here, the north-south dam. I'm turning it east-west because you can barely see it. Go look at the LiDAR. Go look at the topographical. You can see it here very clearly, and then it goes to the other side, and it kind of connects with this river right here. The river Wadan, I showed you earlier, goes up to the top part. There's some activity up here too. These lines are not natural. They're going across, damming up the northern river area. And you can see it down here. I want to find that LiDAR shot. Do you remember that LiDAR shot, Bernie?
Yeah, I do. It
Over
was
here,
like
there's some. They're basically agricultural ridges at this point. And right here. You can kind of see them here. These lines are parallel, and they come out one here, and you can see them in this LiDAR shot. And I wrote that guy. I said, dude, you gotta give that to me, man. You gotta.
It looks like San Diego. Yeah, it's crazy. What? It's like every intersection of a suburban town. It's like all these roads. Look at this. That's almost like the Starport Wall when it's that straight. It's crazy.
This is the end. This is the corner of the eye. This is where I just showed you that dam that I couldn't make it.
Can you imagine like Atlantis trying to make dams to keep? They're like, we gotta save our civilization. We gotta put this wall up here. You know.
Well, there's a. I'm sorry. I'm kind of jumping ahead. There is a. Let me find it first. Oh, it's out here. There is literally a canal right here. So this is an outcrop. That's an airport, an airstrip. Okay, I think they put that big berm on this side so it didn't get covered. But over here, right here, is this ancient, what looks like a cut-through canal going through the plateau. And I believe that canal right there was serving water from the Tamanrasset to the southern part of the Adrar Plateau. And that's just that goes from here to here. But if you look at it in the big picture of the things, it brings water. Basically, the Tamanrasset's here, and the water must have gone to here and come down here. That's the South Sea. And that canal that I was just showing you, I'm going to zoom right in there. I want to move this to another spot in the presentation, but since we're here, we're here. I think both sides of this curved plateau, this curve is, I mean, it's pretty rough nowadays, but it's a pretty perfect curve. And it has what it looks like an inlet canal on the other side. And I think I have found the canal it connects to. But on this side of it, where there, don't forget, I believe there was a big, huge ancient sea right here, basically bringing water around. This is the east end of the Adrar Plateau, and you've got different colored rock. You've got a 4-kilometer canal bringing probably water. And when you go there, you drive through there. But you've got like a whole different stuff on the other side here. Like you're separating these big, vast plateaus. What happened to this natural end? It looks like it was cut off. Anyways, I think that was bringing water to the other side of the Rashad structure. And who knows, because it's all covered in sand. In fact, the sand goes over the Rashad right there. It fills the Rashad right there. So, parallel lines. Now, this is the capstone of the whole presentation. Is there quarrying going on? Because when Randall Carlson said there are chert crops in this structure that have been quarried by somebody for hundreds and thousands of years, I went there on my last trip because I wanted to walk through these structures. We're talking about right here. Wait, we got to go north-south. Point it north-south so I know where I'm at. Yeah, I already had been here. I went here in 2022. These boring fortifications done by military. We used to think that was something important. But now we know that's just a military fortification for training soldiers. They would lie in all those little circles and point their guns out. But over here, that's what I believe is the quarry fields that Randall Carlson mentioned. And I walked over here. I got a little lost, so I don't know. I think I was right about here. And believe it or not, I couldn't see shit because it's all chaotic from the ground. But those aren't, I'm sorry, I meant to say I was right here. But these perpendicular lines, you can't see those from the ground. They're pretty much hard to see. So who made them? Animals didn't make those. Like if you were to tell me, oh, those right here are animal tracks, I would say, okay, maybe. But not this long boulevard going down this road here and these perpendicular lines. That was mining activity, quarrying activity. But then we get to the places that he doesn't talk about over here. If I can get back to the Rashad, my last trip probably, because, it's just a money pit. These lines, it's 3 miles wide. It's 6 miles deep. These lines, in my opinion, are the signs of the ancient quarrying that was going on in this whole area. I know that, like, Kairos has definitely seen this already.
That's so wild.
I'm just going to keep going here. I think that this was quarried in different projects. I think that the big lines that go all the way across were the beginning, and then maybe some of this activity was later, maybe done by humans. I don't know who did this. Was it?
Yeah, I don't mind if you want to go more, honestly. Like, if you've got more to share, we can do that. I was going to ask you how you felt about the 2 hour mark.
Presentation, but I really believe...
that looks like city ruins right there.
I hear you. Look at Utah. Look at the Canyonlands. I think it's quarrying, but yeah, who knows? Maybe they had buildings on there. I mean, I think this was Atlantis, in my opinion. So where are we? I mean, the capital is over here. When people say there are mountains to the north, I don't think they're talking about this. I think they're talking about the Atlas Mountains way over here. So, but going back to this little project, there's this place I want to visit. I call it the Giants Quarry, because there's no way I can visit all this. It's impossible unless I stay there for years and go through there on a camel.
We keep going back every year, and 2 or 3 years from now, Xirtus and me will join you on one of them, and then we'll keep going back each year.
And I used to think this was a fractal occurrence that happens in nature. Now I think it's a fractal occurrence that happens when somebody scores those lines through there. Oh, and another thing I should mention since we're here is this is not the Adrar Plateau. The Adrar Plateau is here. That's the Adrar Plateau. That's the highest plateau. So down below it, off this shoreline, you've got all this activity. Maybe it was underwater, or maybe the water was down here. But in my opinion, the shoreline, there's multiple shorelines. And yeah, I think they were using water to do placer mining, just like we use water in a gold pan to separate the heavies from the lights. These fractals that occurred here, I thought that was natural before. I used to think it was beautiful, beautiful nature. Not anymore, especially this. That is not a fractal. That is a quarried mound. What the hell is it? I call it the Giant's Quarry. I want to go there. This is my last trip. I'm going to have to raise money, so I'm going to do a fundraiser for this trip. I think I can try to do it in January. You want to go?
If I get my settlement, I'll be there with you.
And by the way, if you get your settlement, you can pay my way too.
We'll see how big the settlement is. Hopefully.
We don't want to jinx it by talking about it, but let's just say you can.
Yeah, it always reminds me of Life Aquatic. You got to be careful with that.
You can buy us a Lambo if possible. I like this one because it shows that same perpendicular lines going across an opening. I don't know why it's like this, but there's another one just like it over here. And you've got these like this, and what's that? What's with that line? I mean, can you see what I'm talking about now with these straight lines and why that so-called, what I used to think was a natural fractal occurred here, but it turned out it was dependent on these lines. I mean, they're all going across riverways.
Roads where they were dumping slag potentially.
This is almost at the end. If you look at mine, I'm just showing you. Here's one more. Yeah, I mean, they were probably grabbing the content, processing the content, moving the content. Okay, parallel line 36. We passed the Giant's Quarry. And I got friends who just tell me straight out, that's natural, David. Don't even say that's not natural. And I want to get mad, but I can't get mad because they haven't seen what I've seen. They won't look at everything that I've seen. So look at this one. And by the way, that's part of a serpentine. I don't know what's going on here because these scans, they're just a little bit. But when you see that and say it was a city, wait till you look at how the serpentine goes across right here, over here. It seems to separate and go that way. Like, what was the point? I don't know. I don't want to try to tell you, oh, it's exactly this. I'm not that guy that will tell you this was. No. I believe it was quarrying. I believe it was mining. But I don't want to say why it's like how it is. I don't know. They had a reason. They had a reason for what they were doing. This is just backing out and looking at it again. That's 3 miles across. That's 6 miles long. Michelle's Arch, we'll go back there. And by the way, if you want to really look at this, I think the best choice is to go into the history and look at the previous scans. Isn't that a lot better?
They always are. It's like, how come Google, why is your satellite imagery getting worse as your technology is getting better?
Things are changing. I feel like we're going to see, weather patterns change and quarrying of areas change everything that we're seeing. So it's good to see how things change in 40 years from a lake to a desert and back again,
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
I just showed you this. This is the canal that's near that airstrip out in the middle of nowhere. There's that canal there. I'm just going to go through it now. We're getting to stuff that's a little bit outside. I showed this to Bernie. Bernie, did you remember this other eye?
Yes,
the other eye of Africa. I mean, there's more than just two.
There was at least three you showed last time.
Like 3 of them. What is this? Have you seen this, Andreas? I don't think so.
No. I've seen some circles though, but this is kind of the thing. We've got star forts now, and then we've got in Africa. 13th Monkeys pointed out a few of these that we have these weird circle patterns, and also in South Spain, which to your point with Gibraltar and everything, it seems like there's something very practical. I mean, this is like Burning Man, right? You build a city like a clock, and then you know where everything is.
Right. Well, I kind of think that these might be planetary discharges, but
I feel like that it's almost impossible not to notice that when you're standing there in the desert, you see the stars pretty well, and it's going to probably affect you if it's like the main thing you see all the time. I got that giant with some of that.
This is the one by Tibesti, but I want to go back to the one I just showed you. I'm going to show you something. I got to get that picture that I didn't close. Where is it? Here? There it is. Okay, so I just, because we have something called the ancient equator. It goes from Giza to Easter Island. That red line represents the Giza to Easter Island. But the one I just showed you is here. And if you connect the centers of them, they create this line. And what is it parallel to? It's exactly parallel to this ancient equator line. I don't know if you've seen that one before, but I don't think you have. And so, yeah, this weird. I mean, that is really parallel.
Right. Yeah. I think Scott Onstad actually showed this at one point years ago, but we didn't see that it was through Mauritania. The one right next to it, it's parallel. That's insane.
Oh yeah. The one that is down here doesn't go near the. This is also ley line 20.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And ley line 20 goes right through there, but doesn't touch the Rashad. Which, if it were right on top of the Rashad, I would that's it. I'm done.
Honestly, the parallel is just as good because considering,
yeah,
it's right on the line.
Where is that? I've got that.
Also, that makes me want to look at South America too, because the ancient Equatorial line crosses down into
it goes through Peru. It goes right through
Easter Island, right? So it makes you wonder, where does the north part of that line go through? Does that go through? Where's the?
It goes through,
I'm going to show you what I got.
It's the one in Indonesia, the big site.
Okay, so here's the problem with all that. It's not a perfect line. Like even here, I connected with the purple line. First of all, trying to make one line go around the whole Earth
on a flat Earth with moving turtle. What do you want?
Anchor Wat, I believe.
Back of elephants. It's hard.
You're going to end up having a little tiny dot. So I had to do two lines. So I did the red one. That's Giza. That's the line. There's the one that I was talking about. Look at the center of this. It's right in the middle. I tried to get as close as possible.
That line also goes through Mohenjo-Daro too, right?
Where's that?
That's in like Iran or in Afghanistan, Pakistan area, I think.
Let's go the other side when I get there. This goes right through Peru.
Right. That's what I wanted to see. So this is the Equatorial line, or this is the
what I call the ancient equator. Yeah, I call this the ancient equator. Now the picture that's associated with this,
hold on. But this line is south of the Richat structure, right? So that means that if you were to go, so hold on, go back now to Peru. Go back to Peru. So now I want to eyeball it. I just want to eyeball it. Just move it back so I can look at Peru for a second. Move back to Peru. Just go. Oh yeah, just let me. Okay, now go zoom into the line in Peru. Let me see here. Go further in.
It goes through like 4 or 5 ancient sites in Peru.
Little up. Up.
You want to go up?
Yeah, like right there. So so where's that lake? North?
Titicaca?
Is that right there? That
right there?
Yeah, where's this? Is that Titicaca?
And by the way,
Titicaca's south. Titicaca's right down.
Titicaca right there?
Yeah, that's Titicaca.
So, but what's that lake north of that? Let me look at it.
Damn it! Sorry about that. I just messed up.
I personally hold you responsible for all of my trauma. No, it's okay. I think that's
everything.
That's Lago Chin.
Yeah, the line goes through Machu Picchu, Saskawama, and Alante Tambo, I believe. But not
but perfectly though, I have a hard time believing it's perfect. But say those 3 again. See, I don't know Peru very well.
Well, so Peru's really
Cusco, right there.
Peru's a pretty interesting place. Yeah.
Nazca, right there.
Lima, you could say Lima.
Cusco and Nazca are 2 big ones for it to be going through.
So
they're kind of important.
So basically, the ancient Equatorial line's on La Paz, and then Lima and up and north a bit, like Lima is on the line of the Richat structure. If you look at it,
that's a good question. I would consider them ancient latitudes. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I would consider them ancient latitudes. That's the line that I made. That's the canal that I showed you. That right there.
Yeah, like if you follow your line, right? That line goes all the way to Cusco, and to the if you go look at the line north of it where the Richat structure is, that would be just slightly north of that in Peru, and that's La Paz. I'm sorry, Lima, which is the capital.
The second line. Good call.
The second line goes through Lima. It looks like to me.
Let me back out a little bit.
See, there you go. Oh, it was right there.
Not easy to do.
I know.
Let's try that.
Yeah.
And
so
let's
then
just say done, and then I can change it later if I don't like it. It got pretty parallel, right? It followed the line.
It's pretty.
It's a little bit above it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit above it. But
stay a little bit above it once we get down there. It's looking pretty good. It's a little
like
closer. Yeah. So, but wait. See, if you got it perfect, it would have been on Lima. That's what's blowing my mind. Lima is the capital, and so Lima is also
Yo, you think it? I don't know about that. That doesn't look for me, in my opinion. Wait, if we put it on Lima, let's follow it back out there.
That looks pretty.
I don't know. It looks like it's straight. It's out going apart a little bit. Yeah, and here
a little bend there too.
Going apart. Let's
so right slightly south of Lima. Okay.
Well, but look, Lima, the capital Lima, that dot doesn't represent all of Lima. Okay, it could be down here. It could. Oh, look it, but that's okay. Lima. I mean, it could be like right there. So, I mean, this takes a little bit more time. And then, of course, Easter Island is right out there. And then I started a new line.
It's straight on Easter Island.
I started that new line, and I went through the places you were mentioning just a few minutes ago. They're not right on there. They're not right on there. I went to all the places, and they're like above or below. They're not perfect. But like over here, Angkor Wat is down here. Freya Veneer is up here. I've been to Angkor Wat twice.
So jelly.
Well, but I wasn't awake, so I didn't know what I was looking at. Angkor Wat is there. And I didn't stay long enough. I went both times. I went straight to Angkor Wat. And yeah, you know what? The thing that really got me, I'm going to go to my Twitter to get this picture to show you the one thing that I noticed. Okay, what's this? Fighting? Oh, we're going to watch some fighting. Hold on. No, I'm just joking. Is down here.
Basically, if it's not a, what do you call it? Like a polar projection map, we'd have to use curves anyway, like pilots have to do.
That's true too, and it depends on how far up you are as well. What am I doing? I just want to grab this and zoom in. When I went to Angkor Wat, the one thing that I noticed for sure, because I was involved in machine shops, I was involved in lathing wood shop.
One thing I noticed is this girl. Okay, all right.
And this girl, no, she's from, I got this off some Taiwan. I'm sorry. She's a white girl that lives in Taiwan. So these balustrades are not wood. That's not wood. That is stone. So when were they able to lathe stone? Right now, if this is all over the Angkor Wat monument. And they've got these balustrades. I call them not baluster like the stairs, but the uprights are called balustrades. These balustrades are made of stone. Were they done later?
Look like palisades, to be honest. But sorry,
I agree. Especially, well, I won't get. Look, I think that could have been put in later, and that might be true. But they laid the stone. That's not wood. And this is all over.
That's lathed stone for sure.
It's lathed stone, 100%. Now, down here, it's not lathed, so maybe down here, they glued it in after the fact, or maybe there was a surface there that got taken away. I don't know everything, but I know that was the first thing that I recognized when I was in Angkor Wat, was these lathed stones going up and down in the windows, and I was like, there's no way that we could have done that 200 years ago. I mean, tools were created 2,000 years ago. Power tools. Sorry, I made a mistake. In the late 1800s, like 1890, like maybe during the Civil War, when I was with Kairos, the guy that was asking about the gold, I went to San Francisco with him, and there are stones along the water that are polygonal. And they would have had to have a big, huge machine cut those stones. So I don't know the answer. I really don't. There's a few more things that I try to show people, but everything I showed you already was the Rashad structure. That's pretty much everything I got. We've got the new structure out here. You know, there might be a few things I forgot, but when you talk about the fact, okay, how is this thing created? I think it looks like a lightning strike. I think it's planetary discharge. Maybe a comet, maybe another planet, maybe planet X, planet 9. You know about the squatting man symbol. Maybe the squatting man did it. So we've got all sorts of things.
A plasma plop there.
I would say more, because I believe that the lines in there have frequency embedded, the vibration. I think it was more than just a plop. I don't think it was a big old lava. Remember, this is 800 feet deep. Something took all that it made that stone magma, and then it reformed it into the ridges. Look at the cymatics chart. You see a bunch of stuff that looks like it could be the Rashad. And then we see that other thing, and the one in Chad, that one over in Chad, that thing looks like it was also maybe some type of a weird planetary discharge. That's over in Chad. And it looks very similar. This one looks like it's got a big gap, and then it's got a middle island. And by the way, the middle island has ridges. So was that built, or was that created naturally by a planetary discharge? And if you know me, you know how I think Atlantis was destroyed. I'll show that to you later because I have to dig up a picture. But look at this structure here. I've shown this to both of you before, I believe. Down by, it looks like a face, right? And down by the lips is this weird stuff going on where they were basically creating, looks like agriculture to me. But the topsoil's gone. You ain't growing anything on there. Right? I mean, what did that to that bedrock? You don't think that's dirt? That's bedrock. That's hard dirt right there. And so when you go to Utah, the Canyonlands and places in Colorado, I say, no, I don't believe that's natural anymore. Because then you go over here and you see it here and you say, no, that definitely has some intelligence embedded into it. What were they doing? I think they were making canals. I think they were watering agriculture. But who did it? And by the way, it's not just down there. The mountain itself has some intelligence going on. And look at the way those lines are going over the rivers. That's not the way nature makes rivers and tertiary rivers. Going over to my last place I always show is Tassil Najer. Oh, no. This is actually near the Rashad. Sorry, I made a mistake. This is called Ergchek. It's in Algeria. Look at these lines. Who made those? I call them quarry lines. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's
the whole thing, straight lines across. It's just crazy, right?
I didn't want to go away yet.
It makes a lot of sense that it would be water paths, but the fact that they're straight lines like that and they're gridded, it seems
right.
Like
the grid aspect. It's like a literal grid. Like
here's another one. Yeah.
It looks like you've got major areas where they've drained out the lakes and they're trying to take out. I mean, I can see why Jimmy's obsessed with the salt idea because it looks a lot like the way they extract lithium salt from these lakes. But it could be a lot of things that they're pulling out. It could be all kinds of minerals, it could be everything.
I mean, he was like, there's a big tsunami and the water flew over it and then the water created the salt. I kind of think it wasn't that so simple. But
right, exactly. That's my point too.
There was water here. And by the way, there are walls all around this that I'm not showing you. This thing right here, let me just put it north.
Jimmy needs to come with us to Bolivia, and I need to show him like the salt flats. Like he needs to look at it from a whole new lens.
Before that,
I'm trying to get him to go to the structure in January.
Right. I'm just saying though, Jimmy needs to understand salt from a different lens. That's his. I think that would shift his whole issue with salt, and understand.
All these white marks are evaporated salt lakes. Or playa lakes. This little fish that I pointed out earlier.
Oh, it's like a Salt Lake City in Africa.
Well, Salt Lake City, yeah. Well, Salt Lake City.
South Park did it.
You know, I've never been a big fan of the South Park. These walls here, though.
1 point lost.
Show's over. Show's over.
I know. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.
No, I forgive you. I'm
just can't handle people talking like this the whole show. That's pretty much it. If they didn't talk like that, I could do it.
C'est la vie.
If they didn't talk like that the whole show, I could watch it. And I've watched their movie. I've watched a few of their stuff. It just gets a little irritating. Who is that does? Okay, so here it is again. So yeah, you have these walls here that are up above. This one, it turns into a junction. This wall junctions with that wall. So yeah, they were like harnessing water. I call that the nipple. The nipple wall. It comes out, it goes into a nipple, goes back in. And then down here we have another nipple down there. I don't know what the hell that is, but it ain't natural. And then right here in this thing is where those things I just showed you were. Right? Yes. I get a little lost sometimes. So that's why I created this, so I could just go straight there. That wasn't it. I was up here. So I'll go back here. This is my favorite one because, I mean, like I said, modern day technology probably could have done that, but this is about a mile across. And you realize how many lines you have to make to cut that up to go across. I mean, if you see triangles in there, and I do, you have 1, 2, and then the up down is 3. This is one of my favorite ones right here.
Exactly. 3 separate direct parallel line segments, and that they try to claim that this was somehow done by glaciation it's impossible.
Right. It's either glaciers or it's wind and water. And they go up from that plateau across to this plateau. So one can only conclude that this water was washed out after the fact. But I don't know. Maybe the guy was just going straight lines and he was too busy just reading his Playboy magazine of the day and drinking his beer and just going in these straight lines. I've seen modern day stuff that's very similar, but I don't know, man. And by the way, down here, it's not easy to see, but there's something that I never show because I can never really show it. Let's make it north. That's Algeria that I just showed you. That's called Ergchek. Back down here near the Rashad structure, right down here, the same lines exist right in here. You can see them going across this plateau. And I always did it before. I think I showed you. If you look at the history, you can see these sand dunes here going across and moving over a 40-year period. This sand dune is over here. So the sand dunes are going across this plateau, and it's very difficult to see, but you see those same I call them polygonal cuts because they're going in 3 different directions. And you can see them down here. I have to go to a different map platform because it's not easy. I found it by accident. I'm like, holy shit, there they are again. Those same political cuts are right there going across. So somebody was doing it here. Somebody was doing it everywhere, man, everywhere. And then the back up there, I showed you all that. I'll just finish real quick. This is my presentation that I will eventually try to use. It. Like, let me say if I could ever get on Joe Rogan. I want to have this one in my back pocket. I might not be able to.
Deserve it.
I'd love to.
You've gone to Africa 3 times, and you've discovered like ridiculous amounts of evidence of ancient, massive terraforming / mining. Like, you deserve it.
Well, if we can convince, because you know how many people have said that looks natural to me. They're not thinking; they're just talking, and they're saying that looks natural to me. And you've got your snail trails over here in Tassil Najer. By the way, where are we? We're in Tassil Najer. It's Algeria, and Libya is over here. It's not north anymore, but I'm sick of fixing it. And right here is this 200-kilometer quarry field. The side of it shows these snail trails. I mean, when you have them going back and forth, there's one thing I don't have in this presentation I should show you. I think I showed both of you these rectangles that show grid marks. And who's to say when that was done? But the water event that turned this into a river right here, that happened probably after it all. This is up in well, it's in Algeria. Just all over the place. I mean, look at this last one. Look at this last one. This is the one I found recently, and I'm like, yeah, doesn't look very natural to me. Somebody was quarrying out all this stone. Someone was quarrying. Somebody was mining. I think it was for quarrying. I don't know what they were doing with the blocks. Maybe went into the pyramid. Maybe went into other pyramids. Planetary Valley in Libya. I mean, that doesn't just happen. And then the last thing, and then yeah, you're right. I can't believe how long I've been talking. The last thing I want to show you, it's not in this presentation yet. I'll do it with this just because I don't. That is in Niger. I call that the Homer
Niger. We don't want to get canceled.
Well, I grew up. Look, that's French. Okay, I'm American. America. These circular dikes were being constructed. Let me point it north real quick. I think that's in. We'll go over to Mali and then I'll stop talking. Over here, there's more circular dikes. I don't have them ready for you. Wait, do I have them ready? I don't have them ready for you, but yeah, down here. We've got a circular dike. They're being constructed. There's these little pieces here that look like they're being constructed. Like, why is that going across a river? How did a river get over that? Why didn't the river go around it? Which came first, the river or this weird piece that was being constructed? Here's another one. These circular dikes were these plateaus that are being built. There's another one. And if you don't believe me about the snail trails building these things, there's the snail trails going across rivers, creating damming. Up here, another circular dike. But the last one I want to show you, then I'm going to shut my mouth for a while, is up here. It's called Telebit. I think I showed Bernie last time, but I don't know if I showed Andreas. These lines, these snail trails, are what are turning into mountains eventually. You can see the lines going over, back and forth and back and forth. How's your chat handling?
Carved into the bedrock of this, correct?
I think it's creating bedrock.
It's wild.
I think it's creating bedrock. And when you get up close and you look at these lines, you can see how by the way, you can go find photos of this and they're just piles of rocks. They're not the ridges that I have in Colorado. They're not the ridges I showed you in South Africa. These are just piles of rocks now. And these piles of rocks are going back and forth and creating a plateau. And then you got
it. So snail can be like slow natural accumulation influencing landforms.
Well, I think that it's dumping mining content. It's overburden dumping. The same stuff that you see in the modern day mine, but instead of just circular dumps creating a plateau, they're doing long skinny mountains. I mean, the one that I showed you in Lesotho, that created a mountain. You can find any mine will do the same thing. But the one in Lesotho, let's just go there again real quick. Go to Africa. Where are we? Africa, South Africa. You can see it pretty quick at the north end of Lesotho. You can see they've created mountains here. I mean, how wide is that? That's not that big. It's only half a mile.
It's a good size. Sorry.
Well, if you go from the other end, that's a mile, so it's like 2 miles long, that mountain that they've created. And how do they create it? They dump out dump trucks, and then they take a tractor and they smooth it out, and it goes over and creates this mountain. And you see that in Utah. You see that in Montana. I mean, modern day mining is damn big. Strip mining and blast mining. Watch Mined Earth. That, if you haven't seen that, that's about Peru. That's a show. Let me look it up. Mined Earth on YouTube. And it's going to give me no E. I want the E. Okay, Mined Earth. Let's try that. That's an F. Sorry. Watch this if you really want entertainment. This guy really narrows it down. Mined Earth on YouTube. Let's try that. And he's got the channel called Mind Earth, and then he's got a 10. Okay, none of it's here. All right, I'm not finding it. So let me just copy this and go to Mind Earth on YouTube directly, because that's a Google search. And then it's all. I think it's all about mining. I think it's all about mining. What am I doing? Oh, you're seeing my X-rated searches. Hold on. That's why I don't like
this. Stig, what you been doing?
Mind Earth YouTube. Let me try. No. What is this? Why did it do that? Okay, let's try this. Oh, because I'm not in the search bar. Let me. Now I'm turning into as I always was.
Less of you.
Okay, where am I? Okay, get down here. Put it here. Mind Earth. We don't need that. Sorry about that. Luckily, I didn't do this in the first 15 minutes. Okay, Mind Earth right here. He did 10 videos, and most of them are. And basically, he's convinced me that Lake Titicaca was a strip mine, and it brought me to believe that possibly. I don't want to watch a video, but possibly even the Mediterranean Sea was a big strip mine. So check that out. Put that down for your future watching. He's nice. He's good. And he's definitely about Peru. Lots of stuff in Peru you've never seen, especially the episode 10, the last episode that he's got going. All right, I'm kind of done talking or trying to hog all the screen, and I don't want to look at that anymore. So there you go. I'm done showing you stuff for a while.
It was an
It's
epic
been 3 hours.
That was based. I think it was worth it to go.
I am Kairos. Let me look at some of these chats. I am Kairos. Oh, you have private chats. I'm sorry that I didn't read the private chats. I'm going to go through some of the chats. Lithium. I am Kairos gave the link. I think he linked it to that channel. That's a good little series that guy did.
JJ gifted Crypto Alchemist membership. So anyone in the
JJ,
he's helping out with the crypto. Good job. Travis, I found the right song. I'm sorry.
I don't even know what that is.
it's just something Xirtus does. Fuck Saga on a super chat equals Bob Saga.
Oh, what? Thank you, Gladiator. Sorry I didn't get your question, Gladiator. Matt, I don't know how they did it. I think they had machines. Ice water? What's ice water? Ice water? I don't know. That's your Thank you for those subscriptions. That helps.
Yeah, angry, happy, angry, bad.
Truth is a collection of lies. Sucker, your parents are children that will die. Sucker, the sound of shame and fun. Sucker, strange is the new norm. Big by the master saga.
I like that one. That was a pretty good one.
That was great.
Well, I love you guys.
Was my volume still up, or could you hear me thanking everybody?
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Jack
we love you, Stig. Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you. And back to your chatting. There's a few people. Thank you. The last guy that said your guest was great. Thank you.
Dude.
JT, woo. Actually, there's been a lot of chats since then. Yeah, what else is there before we let each other go? We've only been on for 3 hours. What's the point?
Go subscribe to Stig at Stig.
That's true. I should say that. You know what? We would be crazy.
Well, I put it at the beginning, but yeah, at Stig, youtube.com/@Stig.
Okay, so check out. This is Stig's page right here. It's at Stig. How short is that? How cool is that? How kind of impressive to have a 4-letter YouTube handle, right? You got to give him some slack.
I tried my best with that. It's a long story. It all happened when they started doing the thing. Yeah. I finally got David Stig Hansen, youtube.com/David Stig Hansen. Really hard to say over and over again. Then one day they let us get these ats, and I grabbed @Stig real quick. Because obviously if you go youtube.com/Stig, you're going to find some Danish guy's website of his family.
This is great. I love what you got here. And then also, you know what? Go to exert.us, just short as well, or andreas.me, and send me money. Send me lots and lots. Send me all of your money. Melt your jewelry down.
All of your money.
Melt your jewelry down.
Yeah. Maybe me a coffee.
And then maybe, and then go to Crypto Alchemist. Alchemist. It's so hard to do this now. Hold on, there I go. Find Crypto Alchemist. It's the mound. It's the mound man. And you can check out all kinds of the alchemical work he's doing, and we're going to be doing some more videos. This was one he did recently that looks pretty base. Jeremy Reese was here yesterday.
An alien scientist. It was
and also crypto. You did for me too. We did a bunch, and I showed a lot of the North American stuff. Yeah. In our previous stuff. No way am I going to try to get into it now. I'm all about the Rashad structure. I'm doing a book. I want to have a printed book for sale. Even if it never sells any, I'm going to actually print them. I can print books. I used to print books. And
you got a book about the Alberta oil sands printed.
I do. You can go to Amazon.com. If you pay for whatever service, you can read them for free. The first one was called Not SARS, Just Sex. It's a non-porn, not sex tourism story about living in Taipei during SARS. SARS is COVID.
You got a point. You got to qualify that if you're talking about I was living in Taipei, and you're like, okay.
I wasn't living in Thailand. Okay, I wasn't going down to
different vibe.
To what's the name of that place everybody knows in Thailand? Where
I think this is besides the point. The point is, I believe in the future. I believe in a better tomorrow. All right.